throughout the spring season, and Zivir, of course, a high priority and stable pick for the AD carry. And KOO Tigers know that, you know, a lot of experts and fans have been keeping track of solo queue champions, and so they're hovering over the Bard a little bit to get everyone's hopes up, but if we're going to see it, we're probably not going to see it now, at least not in this set of picks, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, the Thresh Lulu going to come in, so very safe roster. This probably means they're going to run a Lucian here.
Yeah, would make sense. Something with a little more punch, also a little bit more laning power against Zivir.
They could also run Vayne here.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I mean, Prey used to be one of those players who also would get in on the whole Vayne battle when one person starts picking it.
Last night we did see the Lulu-Vayne combination, and it was very effective with Gragas in the jungle, so the setup was extremely good. It resulted in a pretty resounding victory, so...
Yeah, we've just been seeing teams figure out how to complement Vayne now in the new patches to make her work again, instead of where, you know, in the past it was just like, Vayne, do your own thing, and if you're good enough as a player, then you'll make it work. If not, too bad. And now we're seeing things like Gragas and other champions help make those picks, and Bard being highlighted by Samsung in return. Since Thresh,
yes.
Oh, we do have a lock-in, and by Luna. Somehow seems fitting. There's something about the name and the look of Bard. But Bard going to be played in the first game
time
today. Yeah,
first time in Korea that we've seen Bard. So they could go for Ashe here, but I don't think they're going to do that.
No.
I mean, Ashe doesn't provide, I think, enough punch to carry this team composition. Okay. Ashe Kennen, actually, I've been theorizing about this. Ashe Kennen and Ashe Renekton, I think, could be quite good together. But Jinx and Rumble instead.
Rise. Okay. Jury still seems to be a little bit out on Rise, but
no, they're going to play Rumble
yeah,
here.
I would be very surprised if they went for the Rise here.
The Rise just isn't worth it, because then you'd have two scaling champions with not a lot of wave clear. And the Rumble also provides the AoE earlier for Jinx to start getting resets. You don't want to be reliant on that in the late game. You need some extra damage in the mid game. Now, will they try and play with this Twisted Fate up against Lulu?
Well, you know, Twisted Fate or any global champion alongside Bard could make a lot of things worse. And then you have the teleport. I mean, you just give so much time for things to be set up even more perfectly.
I will be so psyched if they pick Twisted Fate here, Chobra, because the map movement that you get with TF and with Bard is going to, and with Sivir and with Rek'Sai. Are you kidding me?
And then a teleport in top with
They're going to be everywhere on this map. This could be extremely exciting to watch.
I mean, theoretically, if you take this pick,
I think it's a wonderful
has
pick.
to be able. I mean, they have the ability to play every fight the way they want to. Like, it's just there for all the tools they need to set it up.
We've got 3 globals: Void Rush, TF ult, and then a teleport coming in from Gnar. Everyone can pile into the bottom side of the map.
Oh, man.
And they can move so quickly through the terrain with Bard and Sivir. Man, this is a really exciting. I love this draft from Samsung.
This is really good.
Now, this is going to be really hard for any team to pull off.
Yes.
Right? Really difficult. But, so it may not work. Samsung, of course, not the highest skill team in this league, and this is a very high skill composition. But I think it's going to be really fun to watch and see how this operates, because the thing here is KOO wants to get together, and they've got a great combination of champions to set up for Jinx resets, of course, with the Gragas ult, isolating somebody, burn him down with a minigun, and then start piling on through with the Whimsy. So the Tigers going for a composition. They love running this Lulu mid in combination with a hyper carry AD, so super fun to watch from the Tigers. And Samsung going for picks. This is all about creating picks, taking down towers. I am really, really psyched to see this game.
Yeah, this composition can make picks happen when the enemy team is grouped up even with that Bard ultimate. So we'll see how well Samsung has prepared this. I mean, it looks like they've been thinking about this for quite some time if you're going to be bold enough to pick that Bard as the first player to do so in Champions here in Korea. So game 1 is ready between KOO Tigers and Samsung. Let's see how Luna's Bard is. relatively quieter cheers as it is still class time for many people, and a lot of college students actually, if you're in the graduating class, can't really skip out early anymore on your classes. So our buff girl and interviewer are also going to be joining us late here in the studio as we do have earlier broadcast times on Thursday.
All right, well.
Man, Doa hates me right now. I was just like,
The first time
I
Bard
get
has
to
picked.
cast the first Bard game in Korea.
Well, we'll see if it works out. I mean, obviously Bard has been picked in other regions. It was picked at MSI, but no
Yeah.
one's had a spectacular Bard game yet. But we know the spectacular Bard game is coming. It's only a matter of time because of
Yes.
this champion can do so many things in terms of utility. Very hard to play him in solo queue because you have to have great teamwork to utilize Bard to the fullest extent.
Yeah.
And also teams have to practice a lot as a unit in order to really unlock his power. So we knew it was going to be a while before Bard really showed up.
Yeah, it's kind of like Gnar. I mean, when Gnar first came out,
Yes.
everyone theorized that he was really strong, but no one was confident enough to make it work in a professional setting for quite some time.
Yeah, not even just confidence, lack of practice. So lane
Yeah.
swap going to be attempted here. Of course, Bard not the strongest laner, and Jinx at level 1 is very strong against Sivir.
Yeah, and Thresh coming into, of course, power support in the lane. So this is going to be a little tough for Samsung, especially if Luna wants to take some time to go pick up his charms too. Fury will have to be careful in lane.
So Jinx is very immobile, well, not in this composition, and you know, there's a lot of ways to abuse this Jinx right here. In terms of the TF, once TF gets that Sonya's Hourglass and can just TP into the back line, they've got numerous ways to dive. And of course that Bard ultimate as well. They get it down onto the Jinx, then the rest of KOO should be pretty easy to clean up. I'm very excited to see this. Samsung's composition, I think, is excellent.
Man, the dream play would be if Crown doesn't pick up Azonias and always relies on Bard's ultimate and goes in and gets ulted. So
If you can time that, that would be insane.
That'd be so sick.
If he can teleport into the back line, throw a gold card, and then get Bard ulted himself while the rest of his team comes in, that would be incredible to watch.
Yeah, it would take a lot of good positioning and timing and skill and communication, but we can always hope. One of these days, someone will pull it off, even if it's not Luna today. But as expected, especially given that they didn't get the lane swap, or both teams got the lane swap rather, it's going to be pretty passive here in the early phase of Samsung, not wanting to take any chances as they don't really have anyone who's going to power through that laning phase.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting early gank onto Twisted Fate that's coming in. There's a Thresh in the mid lane right now.
Yeah, Lulu not there to really take advantage of that, but Crown also just going to back off pretty far anyway. And that gives Luna time to go pick up his charms too, as the KOO Tigers pushed up in the top lane and then decide to go for a roam. Wisdom pretty low, but just going to pick up the Scuttle Crab for his team. And that's going to put a lot of threat actually onto Crown too, because Thresh can now really move back and forth between the top and mid lane very quickly.
Yeah, and they tried to use that opportunity to see if they could find a roam onto Crown, start punishing this Twisted Fate early. But they don't get it. Instead, just right back into lane, and Fury able to go pretty unharassed right here to spend in the mid lane.
Okay, well they really want to punish Crown. Crown does take quite a bit of damage. He had to use his Ghost to make sure that he had an escape there.
Everyone in the mid lane. This is some pretty intense mid lane focus from the Tigers right here, and they're sacrificing a little lane dominance to do it, particularly in top side. I mean, if Rumble pushes up, it's actually a great opportunity to roam because you don't want to die on that bottom side while your jungler is clearing out the Scuttle Crab in the top river. So I think that was a really effective use of his time. But maybe they could have put a little bit more pressure on with this Jinx.
Yeah. Luna also doing a pretty decent job of trying to keep up any minor harass alongside Thresh. I mean, both of them having that auto attack modifier can do decent damage if that starts to pile on. So just keeping each other's AD carries on their toes. Fury doing a good job doing whatever damage he can alongside the Ricochet onto Gorilla to make sure that the KOO Tigers don't get too aggressive.
And Here we go, Wave hitting the turret. And they've got to back off though. Crown's getting very close to level 6. They don't have a good idea of where the enemy jungler is either. Eve hasn't been trying to make plays yet, as Luna just wanders around for charms.
Bard, the most peaceful champion in League of Legends. Doesn't care for other people's fights. Just wants to collect charms and enjoys music.
And leave health packs.
And leave health packs. I mean, he's truly the nicest.
Prevent people from fighting with his ultimate.
Pacifist Bard. Oh, nice stun onto Prey. That's going to give them a lot of damage. And, I mean, that's the thing is that while it's hard to land, he does have a pretty decent stun in terms of duration, so you can really put down a good skill rotation from your AD carry.
And here we go. Wisdom checking out the other side of this Krug pit, seeing if he can steal anything away. Forces Eve to use the flash right there.
Oh, the smite, yeah.
Or smite, yes.
Wow,
no flash.
If Eve really had to flash on that one.
I got too excited. Sorry, Jebra.
But otherwise, a Crown, you know, a little bit down. A little bit down in CS, and we'll see if he can pick all this up to catch back up. But, of course, he's also been under pressure. So if he can catch back up after this, then he's just fine with everything that's been happening. And his teammates have, in fact, been able to even out in their lanes, although some disadvantage has been shown at the beginning.
Yeah, and right now, KOO's job is just to control the Twisted Fate in the mid lane. They want to keep pressing this up, so he either has to go back and miss some minion waves. Oh, here we go. Wow, that is a creative gank.
Yeah, Crown coming in with his ultimate. He does get the Golgar. Kuro flashes. They still have vision of Kuro, especially with Tremor Sense. But double teleport coming in from both teams, and there's a knockup onto both teams as Eve comes back in after Smeth's Wild Growth. The Equalizer going down. Crown had to flash away from that one. Juve still trying to go for some damage, but he doesn't have his rage filled up, so he can't turn into Mega Gnar. And now everybody with a party in mid lane as the top lane duo show up too. And now we're going to go into siege mode.
Wow, this game is so funny. Everyone's always in mid lane in this one as the TF has totally taken over this game. Samsung knows that there's a lot of big potential with this composition, so they don't want to get all in, so they keep trying to control Crown as to where he can ult. It was a creative gank from Samsung.
Yeah.
Kind of tricky there with the first TF ult of the game. Usually you don't see moves like that, but Kuro had his head on his shoulders, got out, and then Smeb and Kuve both came in with teleports, 2v3 for the Tigers, but they're able to even it out just because of Smeb's power in the mid game with that equalizer, as well as a nice wild growth, knocking him up right as that teleport completed.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of move from Twisted Fate, we used to see a lot in the earlier seasons, especially in solo queue, because you just try to duel and be like, all right, I'm going to go home, you can push up, and then you show up at the same health but behind them, and you just ignite them and run away. So Samsung trying to go for something like that with the teamwork from Eve, but it just turned into a party. No one got hurt, but Samsung having a slight lead in gold in terms of farm because of all the roaming coming in from the KOO Tigers earlier. Prey trying to keep Fury at base so they can try to push this up and force Fury to lose some CS, but that's not going to happen as Samsung is able to keep the minions at bay.
So we'll see what KOO does. They obviously want to group up this game. They have to fight pretty much as 5. Whereas Samsung, they need to start getting some isolated targets right here. Eve trying to...
Yeah, Kuro actually getting stunned just to put some harass down onto Eve as Wisdom shows up. He does have explosive cast, so Samsung not taking any chances.
Yeah, Kuro knowing he was safe right there to get the harass down while they were taking out his pink ward, and we will see Smeb recalling now as the Tigers switch into the bottom side of the map just to get a little bit more pressure onto the Dragon, and they will be matched by Samsung.
Yeah, but Samsung is going to be the one taking the magical journey down to bottom lane.
It's chime time, Jobra.
Gorilla going to be spotted by Eve. Prey is there, so nothing too big happening. Luna doesn't have his ultimate just yet.
This is less pick happy than I thought it would be. I really want Crown to go ahead and find a time to use his next ult already. They do have some better control over the Dragon Pit. If they can push out the bottom side just because they have that TF teleport, they can pretty much own the positioning on the Dragon with this composition.
Yeah, and Fury actually being quite a bit ahead in experience thanks to Luna roaming about. Now, once Luna gets his ultimate, Samsung will be real good shape for any sort of dragon fight, although KOO Tigers do have the equalizer and Rumble.
And Wisdom trying to do a little bit of counter juggling right here. Gets a ward in by the Raptor buff. But Eve not anywhere nearby at the moment. And the Tigers playing this pretty passively. Smeb taking a bit of a hit in terms of CS in this matchup, partially because of his roaming in this game.
Yeah, with a couple of those early roams when they were on bottom side, did allow QV to pick up that farm, get that Hex Drinker so that he's more stable in lane. And Samsung's bottom lane duo also doing just fine while allowing Luna to roam about for his chimes. Now Luna does have his ultimate, so does Gorilla, but he takes a huge chunk from the Boomerang blade. Meanwhile, Crown being really pressured in this mid lane. He wants to stay back. He knows Wisdom somewhere nearby.
So lots of damage, and the constant pressing up on this tower is preventing Crown from actually making TP plays on the map. So they've bottled him up for quite a long time right now, prevented him from really helping out those side lanes, and thereby extending the laning phase, which is exactly what the Tigers want, because they're going to be so strong as a 5-man unit in the late game. And if they can get to the phase where they just group up together, they've got incredible dive under turrets, really good siege, and there's not a lot that Samsung's going to be able to do to stop that.
Yeah, Luna trying to become a little more harassed now, especially as they try to find some positioning for a Dragon fight or a pick, and then into Dragon for Samsung. It's going to be pretty tricky, though, as teleports will be up at exactly the same time for both Smeb and QV. Luna just picking up another chime and hanging out with Eve, seeing if they can make something happen. Fury feeling pretty safe right now in the bottom lane. We do have Wisdom walking on over to the bottom lane. Luna's going to need to watch out. They're going to spot two members of the KOO Tigers. That pink ward will be cleared by Wisdom. Maybe. We do have Eve over the wall, but there is the lantern, so Wisdom's just going to ride it out.
The KOO Tigers really aren't giving Samsung any opportunities to make these picks or to make these ganks right now. Every time that a lane has been pushing forward, Wisdom has been there in case there's a gank and he needs to counter it, staying right in the fog of war, waiting while Kuro pushes up that minion wave under turret. Now as Prey was starting to move forward, everyone was at the bottom side of the map once again. So they're playing very patiently right now, and the Tigers know the risks that are involved, and they're happy with their current situation. Yeah, they're a little bit behind in gold, but they know that slow and steady will win the race with these compositions, and there's just an equalizer. You see, he's not even walking up right now. Literally no risks are being taken by the Tigers.
Yeah, very safe. Of course, Eve will have to take some time to clear this one out. Smeb looking for an opportunity to go home. And he'll be walking back up, trying to save that teleport also for any immediate Dragon threat. And like we discussed, of course, with that Jinx, the KOO Tigers will have that higher power spike in the late game. As long as Jinx stays alive. I mean, Samsung still has the opportunity to make the picks happen in the late game, too. If they pick off Prey, the game could end very quickly.
Especially with the Zunya's Hourglass. That's such a key item for this composition against the Jinx. Yes, with that item, TF is a wonderful pick against Jinx, generally speaking, and that's a very interesting magical journey that you can take right there.
Yeah, you can really cut some time going back to lane.
Clipping into the base wall.
And Luna doing just fine in terms of picking up his chimes. He's been able to stay equal in level to Gorilla, which means you should be pretty happy as your meeps grow in power.
I always wanted my meep to grow in power, Chobra.
Yeah. The stronger your meep, the better your life.
Benjamin Franklin quote right there.
KOO Tigers making sure they also keep vision around the Dragon Pit. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Monty, the Tigers aren't taking any chances for any unnecessary advantage towards Samsung. I mean, some of the farm advantage that Samsung currently has, you can't really do too much about, but not giving up objectives for free, not giving up ganks for free. And Wisdom also trying to deny some experience from Eve whenever he can by going into the enemy jungle and taking out a camp or two. Eve also just clearing out wards back and forth. Lots of pink wards from both sides too because of the vision ward that's starting so intensely.
Look at the chip damage on that tower too. Crown nearly losing his turret already. And that's going to provide even fewer options. Here comes Crown.
But a gank towards top. There's the equalizer forcing Crown to flash out of it, but they still get the slow onto Smeb. Can they get another gold card? He does. There's a wild card. Can QV dive the tower? He will. Crown tanking it for the time being. QV turning to Meganar at the end after he picks up the kill. Now Eve, it's up to him to defend this mid tier 1, and it looks like he will be able to. Wisdom actually being on the top side of the map.
Will he be able to? Not so sure about that.
Actually,
it's extremely low right now. And we do see Eve coming in for the knockup and just barely able to defend. Meanwhile, Wisdom just going to hold on the top side. And that's kind of unavoidable with this composition. I'm actually impressed that it took as long as it did for Samsung to net a kill, considering the presence they have on the map with their champion selection. So as long as KOO can just normalize with this turret right now, they're trying to get onto it and pick up some more of that global gold to stay in the running. They're going to be just fine with losing Smeb. Smeb's bigger problem is the fact that he's behind 40 CS in this game because he's been playing so timidly as a result of the TF Rek'Sai combination and his fear of dying in lane.
Yeah, this tower is not going to survive too long, though. It looks like Samsung will eventually just give it up, allowing the KOO Tigers to equalize ever so slightly in terms of global gold. Nice stun onto Kuro, but it's just going to result in harass back and forth and then taking the magical journey.
So I was talking with the Korean casters, and they said that the name in Korean for Magical Journey isn't as funny as the one in English.
No, so all the Korean casters actually just say Magical Journey with a Korean accent. They're like, Magical Journey! That's what they say when the skill comes out.
They are very disappointed that Magical Journey was not as hilarious in Korean as it is in English.
Equalizer being used again just to clear out that wave. I mean, it's pretty short on cooldown, but Samsung going to take that advantage to take the Dragon to stay at least one small step ahead.
Yep, and right now, Tiger's just giving up the Dragon. They know that they'll be able to group on it in later team fights, and what they want is just to get some more gold onto Prey right now, see if they can push down this turret. Ping's going down for the Tigers in the top side. And will they actually try and defend the bottom tier 1 at all?
Doesn't look like
understandably worried about his ability to stay alive in that situation.
Yeah, QV just trying to put down some harass onto Prey too to put down the pressure of a possible gank coming in, but not going to happen with 4 members of the KOO Tigers in that top lane. QV may just have to back out as Samsung did also get the tier 1 and bottom, so they'll just have to be satisfied with a 1-1 trade and
but the loss of Dragon as well, so KOO just trying to stave off any kind of engagement until the late game as the tower falls in favor of Jinx in the top lane. Smeb just tries to cover in mid in the interim. Explosive cast right there. They're so worried about these picks.
Yeah, very passively, using all their ults just to clear out the immediate threat for the time being. Equalizers and explosive cast being used, and you know the Tigers, they don't really care about having those fights anyway at this point in the game. So
I'm just very impressed with how defensively the Tigers are able to play, and they're only 800 gold down right now, so it hasn't really cost them a whole hell of a lot yet.
Yeah, they do have that one extra tower to help equalize for that. Oh, there's a Barlow not going to hit. Magical Journey over the wall, but a double knockup onto Prey and Gorilla. A gold card coming in, and that should be a kill onto Gorilla. He's going to get it. The spell shield at the end to avoid the death sentence into tower range.
And they just zoned out with the Tempered Fate right there, which caused Samsung, or KOO rather, to not be able to react quite as quickly as they were able to, and a flash double stun from Luna as well.
Yeah.
Hitting that tether, so nice setup there, very decisive from Samsung, but they come away with just a single kill.
Yeah, so they're getting some of the advantage, not as much as they'd like, but
it's so small is the problem. When they make these plays, they got a Dragon, that's probably their biggest edge to date, but only having 2 kills in the pick comp after 20 minutes is not exactly ideal.
And not the greatest. And Crown going for Lichbane right after for a little bit more burst, as they do have a lot of crowd control to complement that. We'll probably go for the Zonias later on in the game. And we saw Luna using that, as you mentioned, Temper Fate, a little bit more for zoning, which we've seen with equalizers in the past too, where you can really just kind of block off that escape route, allowing for your other crowd control to come in for sure. But we'll see if there are other creative uses for it for Samsung as the game goes on. They're going to probably need those other creative uses if they want to secure the win in this first set.
So the Lichbane first onto Twisted Fate is quite interesting because this says to me that they're prioritizing turret pressure and using Bard's mobility to just consistently out-rotate the KOO Tigers and push down turrets extremely quickly, which they have a lot of flexibility in this composition to go for those picks and to have that mobility on the map so that the Tigers simply can't respond as quickly.
Yeah.
Due to Magical Journey, Void Rush, and Destiny, there's really not a lot of ways that KOO, I mean, fortunately for them, they have Whimsy, so they can do some following, but it's nowhere near the speed at which Samsung can play the map.
Yeah, I mean, the entire team of Samsung can rush around the map at a faster speed, and when the wave clear is relatively evenly matched, that mobility is going to favor Samsung and objective pressure.
I'm taking some more boomerang harass on the top side, having a bit of a hard time of it. And we can see Prey opting for the static shift, just trying to maximize that wave clear right now.
Very wise.
Probably a good idea given the situation that's developing in terms of Samsung's itemization. Also Ghostblade for Fury, even more speed and movement on the map and killing turrets actually.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting, I think Samsung's strategy is solid. Let's see if they can pull it off.
Yeah, that's also going to
some of these fights perhaps, or get a quick dive and take a tower.
Yeah, it'll allow Samsung for the quick pick and disengage too. I mean, so many uses. Whenever you have mobility, your options really do expand in League of Legends. And right now, only 2 members here to defend this bottom turret. Eve is on his way as 4 members show up from the KOO Tigers. But there's a Destiny forcing the Tigers to back out. But it's actually going to be a gank in the top. The wildcard's not hitting on Smeb, but Cube is in Mega Gnar form as he tanks the tower in the beginning. He's going to turn to Mini Gnar as he backs out from tower aggro. Meanwhile, Samsung, can they defend the bottom tier 1?
They're actually just going to rotate into mid and try and take 2 tier 1s and trade 2 for 1 right here.
Could work out. Oh, and using the tempered Fate to buy themselves some more time.
I love it.
That is really good. The top tier 1 has been taken by Samsung, and the mid also now in return. So KOO at this point
still dead, no teleport, and we have a TF pushing into a tier 2. Now KOO trying to answer right here, trading 2 for 2. Can they get the tier 2? Looks like they will be able to. That Jinx fast pushing very successfully. So in the end, a trade favor for KOO.
Yeah, good answer from KOO.
They still want to go for the kills though right here. TF coming back in.
Yeah.
TF no ult though.
Yeah, Samsung doesn't really have all the positioning they want for this one, so they will have to back out. But the Dragon is up in 3. As you mentioned, Smeb will be walking towards now as he spawns. He does have teleport, but no need as he's coming just from base. Mega Gnar pretty ready, but there's a Magical Journey and a stun onto Smeb. They're going to catch him out before he can do anything. Knock up, and he's down. The Rumble goes down. Dragon started by Crown. Good pick by Samsung, but are they still confident enough to continue the Dragon? Looks like it. KOO Tigers thinking about backing out. Kuro wanting to go home, but they want to still keep up the pressure, and they might be able to with the explosive cast coming in.
I think that they can't fight this right now. Kuve's ultimate's almost back up. It's going to be really...
It's going to turn into a smite battle at this point if they keep this up. They're trying to burst down, and Wisdom is going to get it. Eve was actually too far from that, but Samsung trying to go for a fight. Nice explosive cast will keep Samsung all at bay, and there is the Destiny Gate coming. He flashes forward. There's a gold card onto Kuro. Kuro gets knocked up, but Crown's going to pay for it. He eventually does go down to Prey, and Samsung, Prey survives the last auto attack.
The Boomerang just barely missing Prey right there thanks to the Get Excited. So they trade 1 for 1 in the end. Samsung picking up Smeb earlier, however, but the Dragon Steel evening that out a little bit. And Kuve just, his ult came back up right as his rage went down, unfortunately.
Yeah. This was a good start to it for Samsung, for sure, getting that catch onto Smeb with the Magical Journey.
Yeah, and that's exactly how you want to play this. Now, they invested a lot in terms of that Sivir ult to get that pick in the first place, and they should have been a little bit more decisive about going for that dragon immediately afterwards.
Yeah, they seemed a little too wary of
Yeah,
the
they
KOO
should have
Tigers.
just gone on to dragon immediately.
Yeah, even if an explosive cast came in, they should have still been able to win the fight. I mean, worst case, they would have had Temper Fate or something like that to buy themselves some
Well, they
more
had
time.
Destiny back up, I believe, at the moment, so they could have just re-engaged on them from behind as soon as the Tigers walked forward. Gorilla tries to get the flash play and can't catch Luna as he just magical journeys along the wall of the Baron pit.
Very well done by Luna. These
All
are
right.
the joyous moments of Bard.
Crowd now going for the Zhonya's Hourglass. Prey's life is going to be quite difficult, but Prey already thinking ahead, buying an early QSS. That is really smart.
Yeah, that's going to buy him a lot of safety. So Crown at this point, if he chooses to always prioritize Prey, his job will really be more to take that QSS out. So they're going to have to find some other creative ways to get rid of that, or pick maybe Smeb again, you know, off from the side, as he'll often be looking for a flank. Lulu, of course, will be a little bit of a tougher target with that wild growth, although if you do get her to use it on herself before a fight starts, it's not too bad. KOO Tigers have grouped up and they're trying to shove down the mid lane. And there is a 1-3-1 split coming in from Samsung, though.
Yeah.
Top and bottom both pushing out pretty forward. And there's
Here
a
we
teleport
go.
from behind from Cuvee. And there's Temper
They
Fate.
got Prey.
Prey is caught out. And Eve is positioned for the knockup. Prey gets slowed by the smite. Eve gets the kill. Crown, meanwhile, goes a little too deep. But there's a 3-man stun from Cuvee. Another stun coming in after his ultimate. Wisdom gets caught behind Gorilla. Has to survive with the wild growth. But Fury picks up that kill as Smeb gets stunned one more time by Cuvee. And Wisdom will he die to the Ignite. Luna will pick that up with the Ignite. What a fight by Samsung, leaving only Kuro alive, and they're going straight for the Baron.
Right, and they have the side wave pressured as well, so how many minions are they going to lose on the side? Just what a great setup for Samsung, using that 1-3-1 pressure that they can put down, and they've got so many ways to do it as well, either with Eve or with Cuvee or with Crown on the Twisted Fate coming in, and they absolutely crush the KOO Tigers in that team fight. Here we go, Cuvee.
Didn't get the slow.
Didn't get the slow. Ah, well. So look at that. Catching
Wow.
Prey right there is huge. Now watch. Eve also knocks him out of the channel.
Yeah.
And once Prey goes down, there's no more damage on this composition. Yeah, they take out Crown, but Cuvee sets up the 3-man gnarl. Then they just go ahead and hit the stun right afterwards. Fury running around on the backside right here, just cleaning up everyone. Man, that ultimate onto Prey was so clutch. And then the follow-up as well, with Eve getting the knock-up while he tried to get the lantern out. There was no hope for him after that. Banner of Command now on Luna for even more split-pushing power. Also, how are they going to clear out the minion?
Yeah.
Great pickup. Really good timing. We'll see if they can use it well.
Man, the fact that Luna purposely put it kind of across the wall only to get Prey instead of like 2 people was also really smart.
And they saw that lantern coming in too, so they cut off his escape route. Very well played by Samsung.
They definitely did.
I love this
prepared.
composition. It's so fun to see.
It definitely has a lot of interesting factors to it, lots of parts to watch. Now, the KOO Tigers, they've come this far, but things are starting to get a little bit out of control. Just using the locket there to make sure they don't take unnecessary damage, securing that tower. Samsung also playing it a little safe, but in an aggressive way as they do have the lead. And oh, they're looking for a pick onto Kuro. And there's a Temper Fate onto the tower so they can just go dive. There's a flash forward and the gold card, wild card, Boomerang Blade. Nice kill onto Kuro, and then they'll just commence to take the tier 2 in mid. Cuvee standing on the side, trying to zone out anyone who might be looking for a jump over the wall, turns into Meganar.
I love how decisive Samsung is at using these compositions. There's no shyness about using multiple ultimates just to pull something like that off and then set up for the siege afterwards. What a great use of that Bard ultimate just to cut across without taking hardly any damage. And here comes the bannered minion.
Oh man, that cannon minion is huge. And Gorilla having to use the box to save himself and Prey. It's not going to do too much as Samsung just pushes forward towards the inhibitor. Cuvee does get caught as Kuro spawns with home guards, but he's just going to be able to bounce out. Actually, there's some magical journey to avoid the equalizer. The Tigers can follow through if they want, but they're a little scared as they don't have vision right across the wall. Samsung, are they looking for a pick? Faking the retreat.
No,
Fury baiting it in with the port. But yeah, they're just going to back out.
One thing that we didn't mention about Samsung's composition is that for those magical journeys, they've got so many line skill shots on this team that if you try and follow someone through a magical journey, you're going to get hit by Boomerang Blade, Wild Cards, Boomerang from Gnar.
Yeah.
That is incredibly painful. So it's a composition that's also very punishing if you try and come out the other side as a group because the AoE threat is so huge.
I mean, they also have so many guaranteed crowd control effects. As soon as you come out, you can knock up with Eve.
Rek'Sai can just sit at the exit.
It's like, hey, thanks for coming over. And then you have the gold card. Of course, Bard. His kit itself synergizes as well. And Samsung will take their second Dragon, 2-1 in Dragon score.
And I wonder how much that's going to come into effect when we see more Bard is how important is it to build compositions around Bard that discourage people from following you through the magical journey? And I think it's actually very important at the competitive level that you're not able just to walk through it for free. Yeah, and of course you can say with Bard, with his stun, you're never really able to walk through it for free, but you also want to punish that as hard as possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems with Bard in solo queue is that if your teammates don't have all of that prepared, even if you magical journey out from a grand chase and get one stun, the enemy will probably still chase you down and kill you because you're so squishy. So Crown continuing to split push. He does have that Zonius. Another blasting wand there. Double Thornmail for Eve and Cuvee. They understand that the main and most likely only damage threat in the late game will be Prey. I mean, of course, a Rumble does hurt a little bit, and Lulus can get big if they get Magi Soul Stealer, but we're not going to see that as they also need to protect Prey for their composition to work. Lots of bursts onto the tower with that Lich Bane. Eve making sure to keep his teammates safe as Fury joins up in the bottom lane. And they're just going to take that, and Fury just going to on the hunt to get away.
Yeah, what are you going to do if you're the Tigers right now? You don't have the tools to stop this split push. You really can't engage on them. Cuvee here with a bannered minion, top side.
Yeah, the KOO Tigers, I mean, Smev has teleport, but obviously not going to feel too good. So he's going to walk on over, giving a lot of damage, halfway down already. That cannon minion still living for a long time. There's the Destiny coming in from Crown just to give vision, and that's allowing the other members of Samsung to now push back out the bottom, and he's actually going to go back up to top as soon as they can jump back in, as soon as they notice the other members of KOO Tigers are retreating. Really well prepared and good communication coming in from Samsung.
They obviously have practiced this a lot, which is really good to see. They're very prepared for how to play out this situation and use their mobility to the maximum extent. Even though the Tigers did a great job of shutting down this Twisted Fate in the early game and playing defensively, it's just been too much. Prey simply hasn't been able to stay alive, and he is the focus of these competitions. Without Prey, now that we reach the late game and some of the tanks are getting bigger on Samsung, there's not enough damage from the Rumble to really carry them through a team fight.
Yeah, not much at all. And Smev prioritizing that Zonias. And he will be going for a Void Staff next. So he'll have more damage, but it's not going to matter if Prey gets picked off and Smev is caught with all the other crowd control coming in from Samsung.
Well, it's interesting to me, too, because Prey has done pretty much everything he could this game to stay alive, picking up that QSS as a third item before he gets that last Whisper. So it's not like the Tigers have really been building incorrectly, and they weren't even wrong to group up as 5 and siege in that mid lane. The issue was they just didn't see the engage coming fast enough, and you really have to be on your toes when Samsung can swarm all over you so quickly.
Yeah, and again, so many ways to initiate from afar from the fog. Even if you have wards right next to you in the lane, the Temper Fate has a long range, and Destiny Gate, of course, coming in from halfway across the map. There's another Destiny. Is he going to come in with the Zonius? Can he get the Ghost Stun? He's not going to. He's just going to have to Zonius right on the traps, and there is a good equalizer to disengage. Prey does get a kill. He is excited, but he has to run out. He's taken a lot of damage from the Boomerang Blade and Wildcards coming in. Luna was sacrificed, so Samsung, without that Temper Fate, how confident are they? Whoa, Fury flashing forward, almost gets a kill on Takuro.
Yeah, trying to reinitiate that fight, bait him back in after Cuvee hit the Mega Gnar. Now, can they get this inhibitor all the same. Looks like they will be not quite able to, even with the Lich Bane.
Yeah, Fury actually backing out while his teammates looked like they actually wanted to take the inhibitor, but because Fury wasn't there from the beginning of it, they're just going to back out, not going to take that chance. Even one hit being missed out, of course, can mean the difference between getting caught after you take that inhibitor.
Yeah, Luna couldn't quite make it work that time, but nice attempt.
Yeah, well, didn't have a chance, really, a clean chance to use that Tempered Fate. The KOO Tigers staying all grouped together, and even if you get caught as 5, obviously that's still dangerous, but better than Prey getting caught himself. Prey just going, whoa, look at those crits on those rockets.
Yep, welcome to late game Jinx.
Yeah.
Trying this trick again while the ultimates, well, ultimates are back up actually for Samsung, so they can keep doing the same thing, but Fury's going to have to recall just to heal up right there, so it's a good time for the Tigers to try and use this advantage in the mid lane, take out a tower. Nice zoning with the traps, good dodging on the wild cards, and here we go.
Juve is here, but he needs to rest a little bit as he's fatigued. And there's a Tempered Fate. They get Prey one more time. There's the Equalizer and an Explosive Cast, so it completely denies the initiation. Prey gets knocked up, and he will eventually go down to Fury, who's at full health. Fury just chasing forward, doesn't even care about the Rumble running by his side as he goes forward for other kills. There's a nice ultimate from Juve. He's going to miss his house throw, but he's going to jump on over. Eve's going to get the knock-up, and not going to get the stun. Kuro's a slippery little Yordle. Kuro's just going to get out.
Yeah, I can't chase that one down, but it will mean another Baron for Samsung. Luna's ults have been so good.
Really beautiful.
Like, so clutch. She has to hit, I mean, KOO is grouping, and yeah, Prey has been, I think, a little bit too far forward, which has isolated him a bit. And in a way, maybe the KOO Tigers should be thinking more about grouping up, especially when the Mega Gnar is down, so there's less threat from that AoE stun, but I mean, damn.
Oh, man.
Look at that.
I mean, they were all
the placement was so good, and Wisdom even throws out, they throw out Equalizer, they throw out the Explosive Cast, but everyone on Samsung can move so quickly, and Crown appearing in the back lines like that, Fury with the double kill.
And there's just no other way to protect him once that Wild Growth goes on to Prey, and if Smeb is caught out in the front getting crowd controlled by the other members of Samsung and Equalizer's already down, I mean, who's going to chase after Fury if he's just free to do that damage from the side?
Yeah, it's just been really well played. Samsung definitely knows how to position in this situation to clean up after that single member Tempered Fate has gone down. And KOO Tigers, you know, when you have this Bard who's so good at aiming that ultimate, having only a single damage source on the enemy team is making it easy for Samsung to pick up this game.
Yeah. They also get that third Dragon Stack, so even more mobility for the entire team.
I think that's
of
what
Samsung.
they needed. More mobility.
They should all just get a second charge of Flash while they're at it. Hop over walls anytime they want.
Where is the Baron empowered minion here? Should be on the map somewhere.
Oh no, that's just Crown and Fury rushing forward with on the hunt. There's Destiny just to make sure they have vision of all members of the Tigers. A nice boomerang blade. I mean, Fury's doing just as much damage against Prey when he can get that poke to kick off the fight. It's not going to connect onto a champion. Nice slow onto Wisdom, just keeping the KOO Tigers at bay as they take out that middle inhibitor once again. And Samsung now going towards that bottom lane. Cuve's already there, and he's all prepped to turn into Mega Gnar if he needs to. Nice smite by Wisdom, trying to buy themselves some time. And there is a nice Equalizer, Explosive Cast against the wall. But there's a Tempered Fate. It's onto 2 members, but Cuve was also locked up in that stasis. A knock up onto Prey. Fury's actually a little bit low on health. He has to back out, and Crown almost dies. And there's the body slam and double kill for Wisdom as he flanks the damage dealers. But on the other side, how many members of Samsung can stay alive as Wisdom body slams outside of his own base just to make sure his teammates can survive and clean up the base with the minions, and he's going to be able to lantern back out.
And this is another case where the KOO Tigers are fighting so well from behind. 15,000 gold deficit, and they're able to win that fight. No doubt they have a strong composition, but they got caught unawares early on in this game. And so they're having to play from really far behind. And
Oh,
look at
man.
that. What a great combo right there. Luna and Fury get knocked into the wall, still taking equalizer damage. KOO goes in, but he gets hit up by that Tempered Fate, hitting that stasis, and Frey instant cleanse on the gold card that hits him as well. There's the Wild Growth, and he's able just to kite everyone out. No more crowd control to deal with this Jinx.
Yeah, really well done. I mean, KOO getting hit alongside the enemies with that stasis cost a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Well,
the most deadly factor, but
he couldn't set up his Gnarl.
yeah, he couldn't
because
beat
of
it right
that.
into a lockup onto Prey. So Prey had that chance to just run out with the Whimsy right after, avoiding that stun. So Samsung will have to watch it a little bit. I mean, that's the main difficulty of playing Bard. That the location of your ultimate can really make or break the game.
Well, a new lease on life, at least temporarily, but I mean, they have no inhibitor turrets. The Tigers coming back now is be quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it'll take.
But this is what's so frustrating about watching the Tigers is you look at how beautiful their team fighting and their map play is in the late game, and you wonder why they can't get a kill for 20 minutes, 40 minutes into a game.
Knock up onto Wisdom, putting some damage onto him from Eve. They're just going to trade out in the end, though, with that barrel chasing after Eve. He's going to heal back out as he goes under to regen. Now there is an empowered minion in the top. So Smeb going forward, and KOO tries to knock two people backwards, and they get the knockup out to Prey. He just gets deleted by Fury. KOO having to run away. Eve goes for a three-man knockup as Crown picks up that one. Crown still full health from the side, gets another kill with the wild cards, and they're not going to pick up Smeb as he flashes into Fountain. Fury does need to watch out if they want to finish this game for sure, because he's got all the attack damage they need. Of course, Crown with that Lich Bane will help take down the Nexus turrets, and Samsung will pick up a nice win against the KOO Tigers in set number 1.
That was such a fun strategy to watch from Samsung. Something that looks like they've really innovated, tried out, practiced thoroughly. They had a very good idea of how to play it. Decisive engages. It still shows the risk of playing pick compositions in this meta because the Tigers were still able to fight pretty well from 15,000 behind. So you really do have to get a big advantage right there if you want to take those 5v5s. And because of the current state of the game, it's almost impossible not to 5v5 fight to win, just because you can't really split push an inhibitor with one person very easily without Baron. That will always be contested. So, but even so, really like what we saw from Samsung. Fun composition. Tigers having a rough time with their single damage threat being repeatedly locked down thanks to Luna's fantastic Bard ults.
Yeah, it's interesting because KOO and Smeb are players who have been able to carry their team when they needed to, and they're still relying heavily on Prey as their one carry source. We'll see if that changes in set number 2. Looks like it might have to, as teams are starting to figure out what the KOO Tigers are up to.
I think you just ban the Bard in the next game so that
for sure.
They don't have the opportunity to do this, but the Sivir priority from Samsung does make a lot more sense. If we look at that draft, taking Sivir Rek'Sai in the first round and really setting this up, saving the TF pick until last.
Yeah.
Really smart draft from Samsung, and a very, very fun game of League of Legends.
Yeah, well played. A successful Bard game here in Korea, but we're not done yet. It is a best of 3 between the KOO Tigers and Samsung. We'll take a quick break and return with set number 2. Hard play.
And it's not just because he played Bard and he played it well for first time in Korean League of Legends. It was because, look at that setup too, double stun right there. After the flash, it was because his ultimates really changed this game.
This was really good too, the Magical Journey into getting that quick pick onto Smeb and got the stun at the corner of that wall.
Yeah, really tough skill shot to hit. Does make it work, but this is just beautiful.
Oh man, poor Bray.
Look at that. And then the follow-up too from Eve.
Just forward to get that knock up.
Yep, and there's the final TF ultimate right there. Only gets the red card onto KOO, but here we go again. Look at that Bard ultimate. Flash Ghost used from Crown just to keep hold of KOO, and this is
the
gorgeous.
Beautiful one.
The follow-up too from Eve. Nope, denied right there, and killing Prey meant there really wasn't much left for KOO in terms of damage. Fantastic re-engage Kube, holding people up with the Gnar ultimate, and Fury finishing him off from the side.
Yeah, Magical Journey there to help catch up to Wisdom, get that Ignite, and get the kill. I mean, his uses for the Magical Journey, it seemed very fluid. It never seems just like for gimmicks and fun. And also his laning phase, I was pretty impressed too, because Bard's laning phase is so tough, but he was able to keep up against that Thresh.
Well, it's fun to see from Samsung too that they have some more variety. Of course, they started out, talked about it earlier in the season, with some fast pushing strategies. Now switching up into a pick composition with some 1-3-1 split push with Twisted Fate in the Rek'Sai, and playing it out quite well.
Yeah, so good game from Samsung. And the Tigers, I mean, we talked about it. Their item builds were still on par with what they needed to do. They played it like they needed to, but Luna and the rest of Samsung was just one step ahead. And look at this, a player swap for the KOO Tigers. Hojin coming back in for Wisdom in that jungle.
And remember, guys, Hojin is the same player as Lee. He just changed his name from his last name, Lee, to his first name.
Well, it's still all his
Hojin.
name, too. His name is Hojin Lee, so you can't really blame him. But there's Hojin. Only played one game so far in that first set, and then they swapped him out for Wisdom in the last match against Najin. But here he is in a reverse role. And some highlights from that one game that he played.
Which he lost, but
he still got a kill.
But he killed Duke's top lane Nautilus.
I hope this is the only highlight so that we zoomed in.
It is the same one.
It is. Zoom in one more time. Enhance that. But I mean, Hojin, although we only have this one game to check his power from for the summer season, I mean, generally he was a respectable jungler in the spring season. Not the flashiest of players, but
Cinder Hulk, I would agree with you.
Up until Cinder Hulk, yes.
After Cinder Hulk, it wasn't so great for him.
No.
He really failed, I think, to adapt to the jungle in Cinder Hulk. He was great on champions like Lee Sin and Jarvan and Pantheon, where he could apply early pressure and help his lanes out. But ever since the Cinder Hulk patch, he just hasn't been able to make those same level of plays. And it's reflected in the Tigers' inability to get early kills. It's another game where after 20 minutes, the Tigers had no kills in the last one, despite so much investment on the mid lane. Literally everyone from the Tigers in the mid lane multiple times during the laning phase.
Wow. Saw KOO sitting there mid lane. He's like, everyone get in here! And they just all pile on into the mid lane. But we'll see if that changes this time around, and what type of jungle pick and style we're going to see from Hojin. I mean, we saw that happen in the finals too, where Tom pretty much just dismantled him as Hojin spent so much time trying to help the lanes out without much success. Tom just farmed up and then got the crucial ganks he needed level 5 and 6 with that Sejuani.
And Samsung, now we get to see how deep their bag of tricks goes, because I doubt that the Tigers are going to be trying that same composition, and they may just get some bans down on some of the champions that Samsung used to build that. LeBlanc banned out by Samsung this time, taken out by the KOO Tigers in the last game.
Yeah, LeBlanc being banned out more often from the blue side these days. Just not wanting to deal with that, being left open and being forced to pick it, or having to deal with the mind games there in terms of assassin power. Sivir ban, very nice. Really targeting Fury's
Makes sense. Makes sense. Just take away the Sivir, but they still have to be worried about Samsung taking Jinx.
Yes.
Now, and trying out one of those new Jinx fast pushes that we know they have a lot of comfort with. They don't want to first pick Gragas, which means that they may want to first pick Alistar or Azir.
Or do you think that okay, with the Azir ban, do you think maybe they even just take the Jinx? Oh, okay, they want to take the Rek'Sai away from Hojin and really force him into an even more passive role here.
I mean, Hojin really hasn't been a great Rek'Sai player, but this makes him even more uncomfortable because he's going to have to go on a more farm-oriented jungler unless he wants to try the Lee Sin. Now, the Lee Sin is better now with those Cinder Hulk nerfs, and Hojin has been a jungler who did excel on Lee Sin early in the spring season. There is going to be Maokai and Alistar. No need to take the Lee Sin this early when there's some of those priority picks left up. A lot of tankiness.
Yeah, much more tanky than they were last game, and that's going to mean that Samsung, I mean, sure, pick comms can still work if you can pick out their, mid and AD carry first, but it will be a little tougher, especially with the likes of Maokai and Alistar, who can just break out of other crowd control to help protect his carries. Bard is open, though. They didn't choose to ban that Bard out. They chose to just ban out some other factors there to make it more uncomfortable for Samsung. And Samsung having some debates about what else you want to prioritize. Now, Maokai and Alistar have been...
They may go for Hecarim here. They could take Hecarim. They could go for Kuve's Gnar again also. And wow, taking Corki would be interesting.
The Bard. So, well, it seems like they really want to force Prey onto an AD carry who has less mobility. Of course, Lucian and Ezreal are still available. This also allows for a lot of poke coming in from Corki to set up some of those initiates and picks through Bard.
That's true. I'm curious where this Corki's going, though, because I feel like there's a plan here. Otherwise, you wouldn't pick this Corki quite so early on. And looks like they have two choices. They could try and gank the Maokai lane and then set up perhaps a Thresh Lucian lane and play Lee Sin where they have a lot of kill pressure. Or they could try the Sejuani and really just go for late game tankiness and outscale this Corki's ability to do damage to the massive front line that KOO has. I mean, even Corki Poke isn't going to do anything against Maokai, Alistar, and Sejuani in the late game.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty rough. Sejuani will be picked up by Hojin, so KOO much tankier in the front line. They really have a lot to block for Prey, and Prey won't feel the need to necessarily stay up front and do that damage early on in the fight. They can wait until the fight starts, and Prey can just start to whittle down from the back line going forward, while Smeb and Hojin stay alive.
So Samsung almost certainly going to lane swap this game with Bard Corki against Lucian. They'll have a hard time in lane if they try and do the 2v2 against that before that Corki hits 6.
And so much kill pressure actually from the Alistar too. If you just get that combo onto Bard, he's so squishy early on. TF coming out again. I mean, hey, if you're going to go with the Bard, you got the Rek'Sai.
Wow, Samsung really all-inning on the early game. If they go for Lee Sin, could be the top lane Rek'Sai.
Yeah, could be.
Has been played in China recently. And Trace plays it a lot in solo queue in Korea, but that's what it's going to be. Lee Sin and TF.
All right, and now for the Tigers. Perhaps looking for a little bit more pressure in that mid lane. I mean, sure, Lulu was able to pressure the lane, but there wasn't really any other threat after the lane phase ended from Lulu. So going with Kassadin also has a little bit of mobility to boot with the Void Walk, so Girl will be picking up the Kassadin for some lane pressure.
Yeah, very big scaling composition from the Tigers. Again, they're in a situation where if they can stay safe early, they should be okay. Samsung, not, I feel, as good of a composition this time without that Sivir. There's a little bit lacking. Their Siege is still going to be good, and they'll have even more early game pressure, but late game, this top lane Rek'Sai, while she's great with 2 teleports basically early on, not having a true ultimate in the late game is not the best situation to be in.
Yes.
So Samsung, this team composition really all ends on the early and mid game. they have to have a massive advantage to take it late against the Tigers comp, because otherwise they'll just gonna get smashed.
Yeah, there are a lot of interesting things you can do with Lee Sin and Bard too, though. If you kick someone out, and then you can just stasis every one of the enemy team with Lee Sin, keep him alive, just get that pick and then re-engage. So we'll see if this is also something that Samsung has prepared, or they're just trying to force the hand a little bit more from KOO Tigers, see if they can get another win with Bard without having to show more of their cards today, or if the KOO Tigers will go on to set number 3 after tying it up 1-1. I mean, there's a lot on the line for the reputation on the Tigers side here.
And we will have to see KOO playing very passively early, especially if there's a lane swap.
All right, well, set number 2 between Samsung and the KOO Tigers coming right up.
환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Once again on Summoner's Rift. I wonder when Summoner's Valley will come out. Summoner's Mountains.
Well, the Rift in the Valley, you know, sort of the same thing.
That's true.
Especially if it's the Great Rift Valley in Africa.
The Summoner's Desert.
Summoner's Rift Valley.
Luna just getting some rest and free gold against KOO.
So, in this game, they're not going to have the same luxury, the Tigers that is, when they want to push up the mid lane. Last time they picked that Lulu and kept Crown contained by shoving him under the turret repeatedly and making plays on the mid lane. This time, they will not have that. They don't have the same wave clear. So Crown's going to have a lot more freedom unless the Tigers are very careful. Also, Hojin will be hard farming. We have this early jungler in the Lee Sin.
Yeah.
So the challenge here is that you can no longer really contain the TF just by pushing up the lane and showing up in mid. This time, you actually, the side lanes are going to have to play even safer than they did last time and just hold on to turrets as best you're able.
Yeah, I mean, if the ganks come in pre-6, even Alistar and Maokai will be pretty susceptible to those, so we'll see how active Eve will be on the map. Of course, post-6, KOO can also try to help keep Crown in check when he tries to gate into another lane. Magical Journey being used just to catch up after checking out the lane status here.
And they're actually going to go
Okay.
into the 2v2, so a lot of running around the map, but they are going to opt into a 2v2 matchup.
And, I mean, that range from Bard, of course, a little bit of an advantage against Alistar compared to Thresh. He can go in a little bit more freely to put down some auto attack harass. Luna seems to also have taken a lot of defense stats to make sure he doesn't get chunked down by Lucian too early. I noticed that last game too.
Yeah, lots of armor and MR. Even so, you really have to be careful in this situation, but they're abusing the fact that Alistar only has heal at level 1 to play a little bit more aggressively. It's not going to turn around until... Oh, nice stun, actually.
Yeah, nice stun. And even level 2, like you said, I mean, because he started with the heal, it's going to be level 3 really when the KOO Tigers have some threat in the bottom lane. Samsung also having that experience advantage, so just trying to get what advantage they can, and then Luna will probably go forth to pick up some more chimes and maybe set something up somewhere else.
Yeah, Kube actually did try and succeeded in taking the Wolf Camp, so Smeb in lane just a little bit faster, able to push it up under the tower. But they've got to make some plays here, Chobra, in the mid game. I don't like this composition from Samsung as much as I like the last one. You saw how they struggled to close, even though they were playing the last one pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's an even more pronounced flaw in their late game with this composition, and harder to make picks with a Corki instead of a Sivir as well. And there's so many engage tools for the Tigers that you're not going to be able to sit and siege safely, even with a Corki Twisted Fate. Smeb will just come in from behind with a home guard engage, and then everyone will jump on your back line. So this is going to be, I think, a very challenging game for Samsung to win. They need to just make a lot of plays early on, and they're going to try.
Yep, even Luna are waiting to maybe get a gank on to KOO, or they might even find Hojin unawares in the river. And he's going to start the reverse Scuttler.
He used the Arctic Assault.
And they're looking for, oh, he's going to magical journey across the wall to make sure he can get the slow onto
Missed the
Hochin.
Q.
Yeah, no angle for a stun, and Fury actually getting caught out a little bit, trying to pinch in on this gank onto the jungler. Just the move speed to make sure that Hochin gets more damage done to him.
Yep, they got the Scuttler, though. Eve
Yeah.
snacking it with the Smite. But no follow-up, no really big follow-up damage onto the Sejuani, so Hochin will get out. 3 in the end.
Yeah, not going to be too big of an issue.
And now level 3 has been hit, so Samsung has to play a bit more cautiously.
Yeah, mid lane seems to have had a bit of a scuffle themselves here, but both of them will back out. No big kill pressure between the two of them alone. Of course, Skuro does have that Ignite, but he doesn't have his level 6 yet.
And the laning Rek'Sai, for those of you who haven't seen it, it is quite a good pick.
Yeah, it's very
because
effective.
of how much sustain you have. Extremely hard to gank with that Tremor Sense. A lot of escapability, virtually no downtime in lane after you hit 6. You could just come back immediately, have the 2 teleports to work with, so you never have to use teleport to come back into lane.
Very true. So we'll see if they can really take advantage of that, especially once TF hits 6-2 to either get ganks or get Dragon or both.
Yeah, TP going to be up soon for Kuve, and you just keep pushing. So the Rek'Sai is a champion you can put a lot of turret pressure on with, just based around your opponent's recalls being more punishable than your own. But still no big movements from Eve.
Yeah, he's been playing a little bit passive too. I mean, for one, obviously not as many opportunities presenting themselves because of the way the KOO Tigers are playing, as they should, appropriately. So just trying to at least keep up and farm, but Hochin is getting that slight edge in experience so far. Luna just doing what he can to keep Prey in Gorilla Zone. Has given Fury quite an advantage in CS for now while this wave starts to form in the bottom lane.
Eve trying to find Kuro now. Crown does have his ultimate available at this stage. Kuro opting for a Blasting Wand first, just for some extra trading power right here. Not too concerned about getting hit by the wild cards, confident that he can dodge it. Luna now coming up just for a deep ward before magical journeying his way.
Yeah, Kuro not going to find an angle on that. And as everyone starts at level 6, the gank opportunities are diminishing very quickly for Eve. Every lane's going to be super tough to get a kill in. They will continue to clear out wards around Dragon Pit, though, making sure they have that vision advantage. Another ward still there in the river from Gorilla.
Yeah, Luna's roaming this game, just hasn't actually resulted much of anything. But it does get a nice deep ward in. That's, I suppose, valuable in its own right. And the nice thing about Magical Journey is that you can play pretty risky in terms of your ward placement.
Yeah.
Because you'll be able to get back to your allies so quickly. And you're not caught in a 2v1 situation or some unfortunate ban-up situation where the other team has that advantage.
So meanwhile, we saw Crown maybe looking for an angle in top lane, but the lane was starting to push up a little bit, and Smev, of course, has his ultimate. Kuro having a little trade with Crown. They even out, so Kuro is pretty happy with that. He is the one with Ignite, so if they keep having even trades, he'll be the one with a little bit more kill pressure later on if it happens again.
Crown's out of lane. MIA ping's going down for Kuro, letting his lanes know that there could be a little risk right there, but nobody in danger of being ganked, and that's just going to be the blue buff handed over, not actually any movement on the map to get the gate down, but good heads-up play by the Tigers as they play super defensively for the second game in a row.
We've seen this before.
Well, it's gonna be a lot more effective this game than it was last game.
Definitely. And we saw Rek'Sai also taking that Gromp back and forth with that mobility with the tunnels. Was able to get more of an advantage as he can. And Samsung going to take this quick window to try to go for the Dragon as they saw the bottom lane from the Tigers go home. And looks like they should be able to get it unless Hochin goes for some crazy risky play for a steal here. Just going to put a ward down, back out. Doesn't want to go in, especially when everyone has their ultimates on both sides.
Yeah, takes the ward out. as well before it can quite close.
Luna's going to get caught. He can't magical journey out here. And that's a quick first blood for Prey.
Yeah, that was pretty greedy.
Yeah. I think he saw, Hojin take that ward out and said, all right, well.
You have to know that that's the timing when Prey and Gorilla are kind of come back into lane. You made that initial decision because you wanted to take the dragon while the dual lane was gone. So trying to get some wards up towards their jungle when they're definitely back at that stage, not something you want to be doing.
Yeah, it did seem a little bit mistimed. They already saw Hojin too. They knew exactly where he was.
That was a really boneheaded move by Luna. you know that one's coming, 100%.
KOO just playing super sneaky with all these tunnels going from brush to brush.
I'm actually surprised that KOO didn't take Smite here, that he went for the Flash instead on the top lane Rek'Sai, just because the Cinder Hulk Rek'Sai, pretty scary, and it also just speeds up your split push. So he instead opted for the Cowl first.
Yeah, I have to think that the Flash may be just purely because they're playing a comp around Bard. And here we go, a nice magical journey coming in with 2 members. Can he get the stun onto Gorilla? There's Unbreakable Wool, and Prey does get stunned, but he gets some nice culling damage onto Luna. Crown coming in too, but they can't get a kill. And yeah, this is what happens post level 6. I mean, who are you really going to pick off?
Gorilla played that very well too, just waiting for people to come through on the magical journey and bouncing them up with the Pulverize right away.
It's kind of what we talked about last game, but being done towards Bard's team instead of them doing it to enemies chasing them through. Nice trade from Kuro.
Yep, and big board still protected by Kuro right there. That's been a thorn in their side this whole game. So first TF ult not going exactly as planned, but it did blow Smeb's TP. He did cancel it on the tower, but they're going to have another opportunity with this Rek'Sai to make a TP play if they want to.
Yeah, and they do have Tempered Fate still, so they could maybe even go for a dive. Especially with Gorilla's ultimate also being down. Lots of threats can be eliminated from that heavy anti-dive factor that you get when you play Alistar.
Yeah, Alistar really an important pickup here for the Tigers. It was banned by Samsung in Game 1. I think they realized that the Alistar foils a lot of their plans with his composition.
Right.
So letting it through in this game, which is why I was surprised they first picked the Rek'Sai.
Very true.
Instead of picking the Alistar themselves.
Eve looking for an angle on Kuro, but it is Kassadin, so he will just Rift Walk out. Hojin showing up onto a ward, but he will just stick around to make sure they don't go for any further shenanigans. And he's just going to run into Eve. They're just going to have a little bit of a trade. Trying to draw him into Kuro, but Eve's wiser than that. And KOO being just as annoying as when Rengar was popular in top lane, but hiding in brushes and popping out.
That's how you do on top lane. And look at that too, getting the Spirit Visage for the extra healing as well. That's just incredibly annoying in terms of the sustain and ability to trade, even though Smeb did have, or does have that Catalyst already.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's been able to keep up, if not stay a little bit ahead in terms of the whole sustain war, especially with the teleport advantage too, against a Maokai is very impressive because Maokai is known to have a lot of sustain with his passive. And look at all these tunnels giving him that mobility, but there is a Destiny Gate coming into Smeb. He does flash away from the gold card. There's still a flash and the kick backwards onto Smeb. They get a lot of damage with the follow through from Lee Sin, and Eve will pick up the kill there as Hojin.
Are they going to dive the bottom side or just put pressure on down here? Their ping's going down onto Hojin. They know he's there in the brush.
Yeah, I mean, Luna has the Tempered Fate, so this could also go horribly wrong for the Tigers if they don't watch out, but it looks like they're just going to back out. Luna might use that ultimate to buy themselves some time until his teammates come, using his Shrine to get some vision there in the mid, or in the brush. And Kuro and Hojin both towards the mid lane now. Now they're not seen by wards. Hojin is seen, but Kuro is not. But when you see that Sejuani there, you're going to know something's up. So Crown just backs out. Meanwhile, Rek'Sai void rushing all the way to the top.
So successful gank from Samsung, but it was at 13 minutes into this game, so that doesn't mean very much for them right now. 1,000 gold advantage. But not a whole lot else going for them, and they have to get a lot more than this. We'll see how they do when Fury gets that Trinity Force. He's getting very close right now, should get it on this recall, and then Prey completing that Infinity Edge already. Prey, of course, usually preferring to go Ghostblade Infinity Edge on his Lucian builds, likes to have the big cullings with the Ghostblade active to chunk out people and make the most of that poke.
Yeah, and that'll be good against this team. I mean, everyone's pretty squishy, so if you get a couple hits from the culling down, they won't be able to go in for the picks as easily.
Looks like Kuve might be going Black Cleaver. That is interesting.
Okay, I mean, Black Cleaver.
It's a good item on Rek'Sai for sure.
Yeah.
Going to be able to quickly stack that up with your Q.
Yeah, and Smeb is just going to be forced out of it as they saw Luna and Eve towards that mid lane. And that's going to give Hojin a chance to try to go for this dragon. Looks like it will be free. Eve going to try to trade that for a red buff and that top tier 1 turret in favor of Samsung. So just some...
I like the emphasis Samsung has on gold right now first over the dragons.
Oh, and there's a gold card onto Kuro, and he's actually going to get stunned on the wall by Luna. Teleport coming in just to extend the time from the turret aggro there. So Kuve using that accurately and then canceling it so that he can just still stay up there and collect a little bit more farm. Really good communication coming in for Samsung. And there's Destiny. They're going to see Gorilla. They get a nice stun onto it, but they don't want to go in just yet. They've used a lot of their abilities for that one kill in mid lane.
Yeah, Kuve there as well. Just get some extra damage onto Smeb. Not a whole lot, but Kuro really paying for that. And 2 towers actually traded for the dragon as Samsung just collapses on the top side of the map after Smeb goes back.
Yeah, the Tigers did get that tier 1 in bottom, but it was pretty prime for the taking there because of that early push they had against Fury.
Yeah, and
good stun by Luna. Follow through.
Kuro just gets hit by absolutely everything right there. Nailed with the Dragon's Rage at the end. Great chaining of CC for the dive, and you have to realize that's going to happen if you pick this castle in the mid lane against all these champions that can come in under the turret so easily.
Is just playing cat and mouse here with Smeb with all the tunnels.
And there's another outer that goes down for Samsung. So they've got all 3 quite quickly. This is the boost they needed in this game to make their comp relevant. But how do you siege from here? There's no more dragon for a while, so you can't force much of anything for quite some time. Do you actually dare to group up in this situation? It would be hard to siege tier 2s this early.
I mean, looks like they'll really just have to take advantage of the vision they have, especially on the top side. Obviously, all the vision very clear. We do have the Cutlass coming in after the Trinity Force, so Fury really hitting a nice power spike. Whereas in mid-game here at 17 minutes, Kuve also being able to do a lot of damage now with the Phage and his own sustain against Smeb. And because he's against Rek'Sai, you know, he had to go a little bit earlier for the armor there with the Glacial Shroud, but lots of magic damage coming in elsewhere, even from Corki. So Smeb not going to be that tanky yet. So it looks like they will be grouping up top, but the KOO Tigers reading this accurately. They saw the aggression from Kuve and not going to take any chances. This is how the Tigers have been playing in the summer season. Super cautious, and Luna trying to take out that ping, but he's going to have to Magical Journey out.
Yeah, Kuro's set up a wave in the bottom side that should be slow pushing towards Samsung, so they're going to have to go back and deal with that eventually. So there is a timer on what the Samsung Galaxy team can do on the top side of the map. Kuro just slowly clearing out waves, moving between top and bottom and trying to hold that side of the map. So Tigers just turtling their best at this stage.
Crown being sent to take care of that bottom wave while Fury and Luna show up in mid. They do need to watch out a little bit, but Eve is nearby. Now Kuve could be open to a flank, but tons of wards in the top side for both teams, so no one should be caught unawares. 4 members here in mid. Can Fury do enough clear? Looks like it. He clears out first wave. Nice stun from Luna onto the minions to buy some time. And that's given Crown so much time to push right back up to the tier 2. He's just checking to make sure they get vision of the enemy champions again. And it looks like, yeah, they're missing still some of them, especially KOO, so Crown will just back out, regroup with his team.
Not the best culling right there. Didn't save it to actually push forward the minion wave. Just got a couple of errant hits onto Corki. But this TF less threatening in the split push this time, deciding not to build the Sheen right after the Unholy Grail.
Yeah, KOO's hiding in the jungle right now, trying to get a pick onto Crown, and they're going to run right into each other. And there's a teleport coming in from Smev. Crown looks like he'll just have to Destiny Gate, and he does get it after the stun onto KOO. But that's a big spell used for Samsung, where they just have to use it to back out.
But that pressure really isn't relenting right now. Kube's going to get some damage down onto the tier 2 turret. They get the blue buff onto KOO at least, but how much are they giving up for? It looks like about 50% of one tower's HP.
So well done by Samsung, not immediately going for the counter teleport there out of panic. They know what their composition is, and they can't just match the initiation with their own aggression. Just have to pick their own fights on their own terms. So Samsung playing their composition very patiently, in fact.
Well, they are, but this isn't a composition that you can really afford to play patiently. At the very least, they're getting some chip damage down on towers, but they need to make headway, actually get some of these tier 2s to get that money so they can remain relevant in the late game. Crown actually going for the Zhonya's Hourglass first. I'm not sure I like this choker, just because the split push is really effective for them at the time being.
Right.
And they need those tier 2 turrets down, and we see this TF constantly on the bottom side of the map. So why not go ahead, get the split push that you need.
I wonder if he just feels a lot more threatened from KOO's Kassadin. That can come and just try to start a duel with him. Or he may be able to buy some time and use that for initiations. I mean, they do have KOO who can split push a lot more efficiently this time around. Just thanks to mobility. Of course, Nar's a great split pusher, but...
Think about the 1-3-1 here from Samsung. You have the double teleport Rek'Sai, you have a TF down in the bottom lane, and then you have Corki, Bard, and Lee Sin. No way that they're going to be able to engage on that.
Uh-oh, no tier 1 here for Crown to escape to, so he's going to have to back out, and the KOO Tigers are going to get the nice start onto the Dragon. Now Cuve's going to try to take down this tier 2, and then he can still join up with the teleport, and there is the Temper Fake coming in. KOO's also been locked up. It's at 2,700 health. The teleport is here. Now Hojin gets the Dragon. Gorilla goes in very deep and pushes Crown back into the enemy team. There is the Zonia, so it's been completed. Some burst coming in from Fury, but Smet picks up 1 kill. Fury actually flashing forward for a kill, but he's going to get caught as KOO jumps through for another kill. Eve's going to get knocked up by the Arctic Assault, and Cube has a double kill himself, but he just can't catch up to this Kassadin. Will be able to Rift walk away one more time, and now Cube has to escape from a tree and a Poro, and he'll be able to.
Yeah, no way they can kill Cube after all that went down. Luna trying to push up the mid lane and force them to lose at least some CS, get a little bit more turret damage, but the Dragon goes over to the Tigers, and they get that extra kill, trading 2 for 3. So that is nice for the Tigers as they start to really hit their stride in this game. KOO going to be getting that Zhonya's Hourglass pretty soon. Finally, Prey completing his static shiv as well. So they may have turtled out long enough to be relevant right here. There is that 4K gold advantage for Samsung. They still can compete, obviously, in the game with that kind of edge, but
yeah,
they are really running out of time.
Yeah, and Crown and Fury, Gorilla doing a really good job just keeping Crown and Fury at bay and then knocking Crown in. And Fury, of course, on that Corki has not the longest range. So escape also not the best, as you can't be knocked out of it. So forcing him to get a little closer to the fight, and the Tigers being all grouped up. Now Cube did a lot of damage with that Black Cleaver last fight. I mean, he got that double kill.
Yeah, I think this is a really good item on the top lane Rek'Sai. Look how much CDR he has as well. So he's just constantly threatening, putting up big damage with his Q.
And just making sure that Ward stays alive. Nice play, and KOO tried to go back for one more hit, but he's not going to get it.
Also, Cube is the right choice to pick onto Kassadin too, because Kassadin can't rift walk on top of KOO to deal damage. Otherwise, he gets CC'd.
Yes.
So that's a very interesting aspect of KOO being the one to split push up against this Kassadin.
Whoa, Gorilla taking a huge burst there with the Sorcerer Shoes coming in from Fury. KOO did a lot of damage onto this tier 2, and he doesn't really care about any damage that Smeb does to him because he'll just be able to tunnel out, and he can ult out if he needs. So as long as Samsung holds on to their tier 1 here in mid and top, KOO will eventually take that tier 2 and force a little bit more out from the Tiger. Smeb doing his best to keep him at bay and getting rid of all the tunnels, but they just keep coming back, and KOO with the Black Cleaver, he's doing a lot of damage onto Smeb. Smeb is going to need to watch out.
Smeb has a frozen heart, and he's taking that much damage from this Rek'Sai. Goes to show the power of this new item, and KOO too has so many tunnels because of all the CDR that he has.
And they're just everywhere. And there's a Temper Fate going in for a dive, and there's a gold card onto Prey. Can they get the stun? He gets it, and Crown picks up the kill. Fury's going to be able to get right out of tower range, and then Magical Journey out. That leaves Crown all alone after the Zhonya's. Doesn't look... Oh, nice stun from Luna, giving Crown time to jump through the Magical Journey. KOO also showing up first to make sure that his team has a retreat.
Yeah, quick dive right there, but Samsung, they can't really get anything more off of this. They keep trying to push forward, but only one kill. No dragon to be taken. KOO's going to go and farm out the top side, has to deal with that minion wave. So, sure, they get a kill, but it doesn't really help their lead all that much. Temper Fade, like you said, onto the turret, immediate gold card onto Prey. Prey not with the QSS yet, and then he just gets chain CC'd forever. Fury starts taking some turret hits at the end, and they try to get on to Crown. Luna just gonna...
Oh man, what a stun.
I'm really surprised at the angles Luna's getting on some of these stuns.
It's very impressive. So, like you said, they got that kill, but not much else from it, so the gold advantage not
Yeah, they really took nothing.
much different.
Not even really a buff right there or anything at all. So it's not going to create the snowball that they need to maintain momentum in this game. They've got to get something more.
Yeah, and Fury also a little bit behind in experience because they've been grouped up in that mid lane for so long, finally hitting that level 13. But of course, that advantage goes in favor of KOO, who's level 16 now in the game, and Crown 15 already. But the KOO Tigers will finally find that opening to take down the tier 1 and top. That should give KOO all the time he needs to take out this tier 2. No teleport on Smeb. We'll see if the KOO Tigers can chain this into a tier 1 and mid at the same time. It's pretty healthy though, so it looks like they won't be able to, especially after Kuro taking all that burst and poke.
This split pushing by KOO has been excellent. He's
still
taken
going.
so much.
Oh my gosh. I mean, who's going to stop him? I mean, Smeb's trying to go back again, but he's been stopped. No teleport. And they're just still poking out at him. And we do see a Destiny Gate onto Hojin. Crown is caught a little bit. He's going to have to be careful, but we do have Fury putting on some nice poke from the side. Luna gets caught, though, and that's going to be the end of that. Looks like Crown got a little too eager with Eve there to try to make something happen and allow KOO to keep split pushing.
No one going back, though. KOO is going to be starting to go for this inhibitor. They've got a tier 1 maybe for this.
I mean, at this point, Samsung can give up this tier 1. They don't mind as much if they can actually get the inhibitor, which looks like they might, because how are the KOO Tigers going to go back home? Okay, Smeb is now finally back. KOO just wants to take this, though, at this point. It's already down to 20% health. We do have Kuro showing up now. KOO has his ultimate, so if a push comes to shove, he can try to make that happen for himself. He's trying to wait for Voice Fear. Oh, he's actually doing a ton of damage onto Kuro, chasing him out, but eventually he will go down.
So, but they took the inhibitor out. Now Dragon for Samsung, they're already positioned on it. That was a lot to give up. 2 turrets and an inhibitor for a couple of kills, a Dragon and a turret for the Tigers. They need to start pressuring this Baron if possible, but the problem is KOO has both TP and Void Rush up, so how do you really do that right now? They're in a position where they have to turtle even harder. Ooh, really poor trade from the Tigers. Now, Samsung did keep them around there, but the Tigers weren't decisive enough. If you want to give that up, you have to just go for Baron or something like that. Make the big trade. Once you pick someone off, really punish them for that decision. Because if you take the Baron right there, maybe you can get an inhibitor in response.
Right.
But just diddling around the mid lane, waiting, and not being so decisive about recalling and then allowing Samsung to delay your recalls really hurts you.
Yeah, and Cuvée now with the Randuin's finish, level 17. If Samsung wins this, Cuvée will be right on track to take that MVP, doing so much work for Samsung. Now, the Tigers are positioning around that Baron pit and making sure they control vision, but the bottom lane's pushing up again with those super minions now.
They basically just have to do Baron here. That's the problem, and the Rek'Sai makes that even more difficult because you sort of have to fake it if you're going to do it by running around in circles. Smeb is the designated one to stop the split push, but he doesn't have TP up, so a very small window here where Samsung could take a preferable fight. But they've got...
it's back, the Banner of Command, now pushing up alongside Cuvée here in the top lane. That's going to be a real bane for the Tigers. I mean, they can group up all they want and get some good fights, but if Cuvé's pushing with this minion, and Kuro can't stop this, I mean, Smeb is going to be the best at barely stopping it, but not really getting any advantage from that either. So Samsung looks like they might try to position for a Baron, or at least a pick at the Baron pit, as Gorilla just goes in safely to place that ward. It will be cleared up. Cuvée making sure he keeps track of the jungle with Tremor Sense, and Samsung's going in. Luna's positioned. Prey, Hojin, and Gorilla all a little bit separated. A nice attempt at a stun. Not going to get it, though. Try to get the slow first from the memes. There's a gold card, though. Gorilla is now at half health, so he is going to have to watch out. Kuro shows up. Cuvée takes no damage. And, I mean, the Tigers, they really want to regain more vision here. But what they do have is vision in the lower side of the jungle. So they know that Samsung hasn't completely retreated from the Baron pit.
Right, so they're at least able to keep eyes on that for the moment, even though if all the Hojin is going to face check this.
Yeah, well, he saw Luna out there, but Hojin's going to get kicked backwards. He takes a lot of damage. There's a calling, but Crown is in his zone. His stasis. Prey still gets the kill as Cuvée shows up. Cuvé's going to keep on Prey, and he almost gets the kill, but he'll have to back out. Very tanky. There's still poke coming up across the wall from Fury, and Eve is still alive. There's the magical journey. As Cuvée goes, he tunnels out. He gets a hit on Kuro to tell him to back off. And there's a Righteous Glory coming in, but look at the damage onto the Nexus turrets. Can they get another kill? They can. So a 2-to-1 kill score in favor of Kuro. Oh, actually, they will get the dive onto Fury. Fury getting a little too cheeky.
They have to get Baron here. But there's the Void Rush. Cuvé's coming back in. He's trying to delay it as much as possible.
That is the most annoying Rek'Sai. I mean, the Tigers can do it now safely. Eve is still alive, too. And Cuvé's just keeping them at bay so they can't go back to clear this. Gorilla does finally come up, so they won't lose the second Nexus turret, but they already lost one. It's a lot of damage done against the base of the KOO Tigers.
And now they have to all recall, so okay, a couple of kills, but again, they fall behind in terms of objectives. Samsung just out-trading them every single time.
Starting to chip away at that top lane inhibitor turret also.
The inhib should nearly be back up, however.
Yeah, so KOO Tigers will get some breathing room, and they'll have to really abuse that timing to at least gain some control over this side of the map so that Samsung doesn't get both a Baron and the inhibitor with Rek'Sai's mobility.
Yeah, that's such a huge mistake. For a solo split pusher to get an inhibitor by themselves in this meta is ridiculously hard to do, and KOO made some really big mistakes in the mid lane to allow this situation to unfold. And even though they are catching up in gold, comparatively, they just lost entire control of the map. So, inhibitor back up now. They will be able to stabilize in this game. And now their composition can kick into gear again. As long as they can control Cuvée without that turret there, he's going to be able to do a lot of work on that inhibitor and maybe take it out again.
Yeah, they really need to push it as far as possible right now so that even if Cuvée shows up again in the bottom lane, it's going to take at least some time for the waves to catch up and then use that timing to get some advantage on the top side of the map. I mean, the Tigers have to play a very intricate game, and Cuvé's mobility is really ruining that fun for them.
Well, that and Twisted Fate as well.
Yeah. Still no Lich Bane, so this time just going for that full burst now for Crown.
Yeah, I really disagree with his build this game. I think if you want to split push like we're seeing with...
Oh, Eve's going to get caught with a little damage. He will be able to safeguard away.
Because when you build the TF for the team fights like this, it's almost like what's the point against the tankiness and the late game composition that the Tigers are running. You're winning on the map because you're giving them the runaround, not because you have a death cap on your Twisted Fate.
And Kuve is now in that bottom lane. He's got tunnels in the top side.
They have to do the Baron. They have to do the Baron right now without TP from Smeb.
Yeah, so the Tigers are just going to go for it. Now, looks like Samsung might actually just choose to go for the inhibitor and try to hold it off. Now, there is Tempered Fate, too. Luna could try to make this really not worth it for the Tigers. And we're going to see it. There's the stasis coming in. Buys a lot of time. Can Eve try to get a steal? They don't want to commit too much. Crown and Kuve might actually just go for the finish of the game. If Samsung can keep them at bay, Eve is going to sacrifice himself, and Smeb, 3 members will be able to port back home. You can't finish this, especially without that Lich Bait. Now we're really seeing that not pay off, and Samsung actually taking a lot of hits here as Luna trying to make an escape. They do get the second Nexus turret, and Prey might go down. He does go down, so he's going to lose that Baron buff, but they will catch Kuve eventually. So an ace for the KOO Tigers, but Samsung still getting some of what they intended.
Yeah, well, they did try and make that trade. They realized that they couldn't actually do that Baron fight with their composition, so they delayed it as long as possible with the Tempered Fate to make the trade. And now with Super Minions, there's not going to be that opportunity for the Tigers to just rush the enemy base either, because they have to deal with it or their Nexus goes down. So instead, they're going to take the 4th Dragon stack, try and force a 5th Dragon, and hold on again with that Baron buff. And they can't leave because they'll get backdoored by TF and Rek'Sai.
That ward. That's very crafty. Leaving that ward in the enemy base as the teleport comes up. We got extra AD onto Kuve. Now, I don't think he'll be rushing for that chance just yet, but it's there if he needs it, especially, like you said, with that Twisted Fate. Looks like TF will be going for that Lichbane here afterwards, and maybe once that completes alongside Blade of the Ruined King, Kuve and Crown will just rush in there and try to burst down the Nexus. It's a huge threat, and KOO Tigers, if they want to counter that, they have a lot to chunk through on the enemy side of the map.
Yeah, Prey trying to get into a Bloodthirster finished right here, just so he has that shield to deal with the split-pushing Thornmail threat that is Kuve. Kuve doing a lot of damage in this Black Cleaver.
Yeah, and the Tigers will be able to defend their base just fine because of the Baron buff, but again, it's not the best place to be if all your Baron buff helps you do is defend.
But by the time that the next Dragon is up, there's going to be the inhibitor back up as well. So They got the objectives they needed. They got both Baron and Dragon. They're not in a good position. Samsung still is dictating the course of this game. And now that both Nexus turrets are down, even if the inhib is up, like you're saying, that Lichbane and a Blade could just end them in terms of a backdoor on the 2 globals. But there is still a shot for the Tigers to win here.
Definitely, but man, the way Luna's been playing that Bard too, I mean, Samsung can really buy Kuve and Crown a lot of time when they want to push in, even if the Tigers are just blatantly aware of what's going on. Now, Crown is in some danger, though. He's going to get caught. He gets the stun and then tries to ghost away. He will be able to escape as Kuve shows up. And then there's the Destiny game back in. The Zonias after the gold card. There's a knockup onto Kuro. Now, we do have Crown flashing back out, but Kuve can 1v2 right now. There's a gold card onto Kuro. Kuve tried to predict the escape path for Prey. Prey's very low. There's the Zonias from Kuro. Now Crown's still nearby trying to do some damage. Kuve, can he get another knockup? No, but that's going to draw a lot of attention away from the Tigers, so that Samsung trying to make something happen in the top side, but they don't have enough manpower as Luna was caught out.
That game nearly ended
right
the KOO Tigers. If Prey and Kuro had died on that turnaround, the game is over. The Nexus is rushed, that's it. There's no more League of Legends for the KOO Tigers today, so this game has been so close.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a KOO Tigers game if they weren't just facing epic odds. I feel like every time we see the KOO Tigers, it's like the 300 soldiers at Thermopylae trying to hold the pass against the Persians, where why do we have to have this every time?
The Najin in them never left them. Well, They're fighting as best they can. The inhibitor is slowly forming back up. As you mentioned earlier, Monty, when that dragon comes up, it will be about similar timing. And that dragon's going to be pretty big because it will be the 5th stack for the Tigers. So this, Samsung can't take that too lightly unless they know they can finish the game at that point. Because with 5 stacks, the Tigers could really force a fight and get a lot more to catch back up and put themselves on complete even grounding.
Well, yeah, like you're saying, it's just a go.
Okay, yeah, Dragon's Rage had to be used. They don't want Luna to be caught out right now. Death timers are pretty long, and while Luna is not the strongest champion with Bard, he has so much utility in terms of how Samsung can finish this game. I mean, Bard alone allows for so much creativity. Inhibitor now back up 2 minutes for Baron, then about a minute after that for Dragon.
It's so funny that the Tigers have double the kills of Samsung, but Samsung's map play has just been so much better than theirs that they're holding the Tigers captive within their own base right now and just running amok on the map. Ooh, Dragon and Baron, that is really bad for the Tigers that they're going to be spawning at the same time. Of course, that happens when you take the Baron and then take the Dragon a minute later, but that's going to force a really hard decision from the Tigers because that Baron buff on the enemy will be quite potent in taking down the rest of their base.
Yeah, I mean, if push comes to shove, obviously the Baron a higher priority for the KOO Tigers. It's only the 2nd stack for Samsung if they get the Dragon.
I don't know. That true damage and the extra 15% damage in a team
either
fight,
way, yeah.
They already have a team fight advantage, and that would turn it overwhelming. I think I'd rather have that than the Baron buff right now, because if you win that fight with all the extra damage,
Here's the teleport coming in. The KOO Tigers really trying to force his flight as the 2 split pushes are in the same lane. Kuro does get stunned. Crown ghosting away. Smeb coming in with the righteous glory. He gets the slow onto Kuve. Kuve gets his own slow. There's a knockback from Gorilla. A little bit mischained from Gorilla and
here
Smeb.
we go, backdoor.
And Fury showing up. Now Prey is there. They can't stop the port back though. Eve there with Fury. I don't think Samsung can actually secure this inhibitor as Hojin shows up. Prey's going to do a lot of damage. There's a magical journey. Fury going to immediately QSS. Wow. Meanwhile, Crown is still caught. They committed a little too much to prevent the port back, and Kuve's still doing a lot of damage onto Kuro. I mean, Kuro's the main damage source out of these 3.
Wow, they saved the inhibitor too, so this is absolutely huge. Kuve going to take some percent damage from Smeb on that twisted advance. Trying to get this kill. It's so
he wants
dangerous.
it. But Kuro's gonna be able to rift walk back in, and Luna. Oh wow, what a temper fate to keep Hojin at bay.
Keeps him alive, but KOO overwhelmingly wins that and outplays him on the map. That was such an impressive display of map control right there to keep everything alive and still get the 5th Dragon stack, and they're probably going to get the Baron too, and they shut down the threat because they killed both Kuve and Crown. That could not have gone better for the Tigers.
Yeah, really good decision-making to note that Crown and Kuve were a little bit too far from the base to make anything happen, but both in the same lane as split pushers, and just making sure they get that pick, even though they didn't get the kill immediately.
And the Baron buff, the empowered recall for the Tigers is going to shut down the opportunity to actually backdoor. That's actually the most important thing. The rest of the Baron buff doesn't really matter. The fact that you cut your recall time in half is the kicker.
Yeah, so Samsung will have to just wait another 5 minutes until these buffs die out before they have a viable way of ending the game. But now the Tigers are starting to inch forward in gold. They are getting all of their items.
QSS done now on Prey as well, so he's not going to be able to be gold carded. The Tigers should be able to push to victory right now. That shouldn't be too much of an issue for them. They can just dive any turret at this stage. And again, they don't really have to worry about the backdoor any longer because they're going to have forward position on the map, and they may and the tunnels are all on the top side, so there's not really a good location. They'd have to use TP for Kuve.
Oh, Crown's being chased out by Hojin, and there's the ultimate onto Crown and the Arctic Assault. Kuro coming in. Crown does have to flash and ghost out. But meanwhile, another turret goes down in favor of the Tigers.
These turrets are going to fall with the 5 Dragon stacks.
Yeah, Hojin has that banner of command himself too, using Samsung's own medicine against them as they get an inhibitor here in mid, and the Tigers, they don't care about the other ones. They can just push through right now. There's a Righteous Glory from Smeb, and he's just going to go ahead, stand in the front line with Gorilla. They're just tanking all the damage coming in from Samsung. Samsung can't do anything, but they need to put up one last fight as Kuve goes in. He tries to get the pick onto Prey. Can he get him? Prey's fighting so hard for his life as Kuro also gets stunned outside of the fight. Gorilla trying to keep everyone else at bay, and there's a Tempered Fate, but KOO Tigers will finish off the Nexus.
Well, that was a very exciting game, Chobra, and the KOO Tigers had an extremely good play to dig themselves out of that hole, but that is a hole that they should have never been in the first place. Samsung did a good job with the split pushing, but the Tigers not reacting well to the split push comps coming in tonight and overplaying their hand, not respecting the split push Rek'Sai. Samsung played it well, but they did have a very weak composition in the late game for those team fights.
Yeah, much weaker than they did in game one. They still almost made it work, but it looks like that Bard may be put on the shelf regardless for game three, try to maybe bring something else out that they've prepared on the side of Samsung if they want to change the tempo of the game a little bit against the KOO Tigers.
Yeah, well, that was an exciting game. The KOO Tigers used to be so clean. We didn't used to see them make these mistakes in terms of decisions at the sides, but they haven't been able to really pull it through so far this season.
Well, we'll see if they can clinch this win, or will they go down with another loss and a huge upset against Samsung, and Samsung proving that they are really in contention for some of the top spots this season. We'll find out. Crown there looking a little bit disappointed in the results. We'll see what Samsung has prepared. I'm sure they have some other strategies that they've prepared specifically for today's match. And KOO Tigers, will we see any players wants from either team actually? Maybe after that one, KOO Tigers probably won't with the success that they had after Hojin coming back in set number 2. So we'll take a quick break, everyone. We'll be back with the last game of the day between Samsung and the KOO Tigers. 2015 at OGN, and the MVP for game number 2 is KOO with the Kassadin.
Yeah, hard to pick an MVP in that game because the KOO Tigers really did have to play that one out as a team to compensate for their earlier failures in terms of trading effectively with Samsung. Let's watch some highlights here. KOO getting on to Fury in the back line and hopping right back into the melee. Fury, interesting choice to flash forward right there.
Yeah, that one was kind of interesting.
By interesting, I mean bad, Chobra. It was a bad choice. Well, Prey right there getting a nice Q in the corridor, and then KOO just making sure everyone's zoned out. Ignite will take out Bard in the end, and here we go. The defense right here, and turns around, so it can't quite make it through to save that last turret.
Yeah.
But they do prevent the Nexus from going down, which is, of course, the point of League of Legends. So good job on them for that.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough to find highlights for any one player. All of these, of course, are resulting in team fights. Gotta give, credit to some of the other players too. Of course, Prey doing a good job being able to stay alive, getting that QSS so he can help block that split push. And Hojin also had some good ults with Sejuani. And overall, I mean, I think the best play was when the 3 of them, alongside KOO, was able to go to that top lane to shut down the split push completely.
And that's the issue with this Black Cleaver top lane Rek'Sai, is that you cannot really stop her with any champion right now. Her sustain is too good. She deals too much damage. She can be there in a heartbeat, never actually leaves lane thanks to having both Void Rush and Teleport. So the only way to deal with it is to force fights somewhere else on the map.
Right.
And the Tigers were not really too eager to do that. They needed to be much more decisive in that regard, go for the fights when they had the opportunity. Instead, they tried to stop Rek'Sai too much and paid for it. Couldn't force the Baron fights early enough.
But they did eventually pick up that win with the latest shutdown, even after losing both Nexus turrets. And they did also finish the game with a 5 Dragon stack and a second Baron. So we'll see what each team chooses to go within this last game. I don't know if Samsung will still rely on that Bard.
Yeah, Samsung will be on blue side for the second game in a row. So same bans coming in so far as we saw in the last game. Now the question is that Sivir going to be banned one more time by the Tigers?
Yeah, where do they feel comfortable enough after having now won a game against the composition that Samsung has prepared to kind of leave that open?
I still don't think you let the Sivir through right here. Sejuani will be the final ban. So mixing it up, Gragas will be available. Samsung looking to first pick the Gragas this time, presumably, or draw out a Gragas ban. Now, lots of choices here. Do you get rid of that TF? Do you get rid of the Rek'Sai? But it's a hard situation because if you ban Rek'Sai, then they first pick Gragas, and what does Hojin play?
So they're going to go with the Gragas ban. Okay.
But Samsung last game took Rek'Sai and Lee Sin, and we're happy with that situation.
Yes.
So Rek'Sai will be the first pick for the second game in a row. And they have to take Lee Sin here to see what else Eve's going to play. Probably Evelynn.
Yeah, he has resorting to that a little bit. And the Sivir being open does mean that the Tigers can now secure that for themselves. Of course, Prey has had some good games on that. And just in general, the mobility that Sivir brings to the entire team is so useful and can really help round out any sort of team composition.
Well, they could do that.
They could, okay. Well, first of all, that shut down very core parts of the whole Bard composition, the pick composition coming in from Samsung.
Yeah, but we better hope that Crown doesn't play Fizz or some other assassins here that can punish early Twisted Fate picks.
Fizz TF is it's quite an interesting matchup, of course, early on. TF can try to keep on going and just go with roams instead of having to deal with that 1v1 post 6. But
so Samsung, this is a little bit of a wrench in their plans. I assume they're still going to take the Lee Sin right here and maybe force Hojin onto the Evelynn instead, which has been, as more jungle picks become banned, a backup jungler. He could go for Nunu as well.
Yeah, Nunu wouldn't be too bad. I mean, in general, with Sivir, TF can, worst case, also benefit from that if you don't have another target available. Now are going to be taken, so Samsung going for a little bit more standard, team-oriented pick here.
Now, Alistar has fallen very far down the draft in this particular game. They may want to go for the Rumble just to have some more damage early on to counteract the Rek'Sai. And this would be a huge mid-game setup for the Tigers for fighting around that dragon.
Yeah.
So many champions that have this big power spike in the mid-game. Alistar as well, when he first gets that ultimate, is one of the best tanks for some of these early fights.
And looking like maybe they want to secure the Alistar. I mean, at this point for the KOO Tigers, they're not waiting on too many hard counters or something like that, so they're actually going to leave that top lane open.
Yeah, I think this is smart.
It out.
Go ahead and take the Evelynn right now for the mind games and the early pressure. Of course, the threat of a TF gank with an invisible Evelynn and a Sivir coming in too, so they have huge pressure on the bottom side of the map. Of course, the tower diving prowess of Alistar also, so the Tigers probably going to be looking for the 2v2 matchup here, standard lanes, so they can make those kind of plays.
Samsung really, I mean, you see Crown on your screen right now. He's really debating, how do I most effectively shut down the Twisted Fate? Because the threat doesn't matter if he can't leave lane, or if he's dead, obviously. So you can either go with someone who can push him out even harder, or go with an assassin to shut him down.
Could go for Lulu here, yeah, Jinx Lulu. So actually,
a swap.
Samsung actually going with a very similar composition to the one that the Tigers ran in Game 1, except with a Gnar in the top side instead of the Rumble and a Rek'Sai instead of the Gragas. But for all intents and purposes, early game focused jungler.
Yep.
Although the Gragas, of course, does do better in the late game. But just about protecting that Jinx, they have an extra tank in this game in Gnar instead of the Rumble for additional damage. So, I don't know. Taking Jinx into Twisted Fate, Evelynn, where they're going to get flanks on you and not having another damage source, I question this draft from Samsung.
I mean, you're relying a lot on your teammates to save you.
Rumble's... Oh, okay. This is an old Smeb classic.
Oh, man. I love it. It's about time that it's come back. Smeb's Riven.
Against the Gnar. Very interesting. And Riven was nerfed in 5.9.
Yeah.
The projectile speed on the Wind Slash is just a little bit slower, so it is, you know, a little harder to land that ability.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Whimsy and whatnot, Fury might be able to get out with a sliver of health if need be. But of course, I mean, if you get the Jinx out of the fight, whether dead or alive, that's what really matters for the Tigers. And Riven, Evelynn, Twisted Fate, Alistar, they can all jump on to that Jinx and keep her on lockdown.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. Also, Riven's movement speed, base movement speed reduced as well. So a couple of nerfs, not huge ones, but still something to keep in mind. Now, Smeb, for those of you who don't know, has done really well in the past on top Riven, and we're talking about last year.
Yeah.
When IM2 actually beat Samsung Blue, and Smeb was playing Riven in that game.
It was really impressive.
There is precedent for this. And there's insane kill pressure in both lanes for Hojin and Kuro.
Yes.
So they're really going for a more early game focused composition. I like it. We'll see if it works.
All right, well, KOO throwing down the gauntlet this time in game number 3. We'll see who takes the win. Man, this game for Samsung, I mean, Fury can do all he wants for positioning, but it's in the end going to come down to his teammates, really. No matter how hard you try, when there's a Riven, Evelynn, TF,
Flashing
and an Alistar
on top of you, that is really brutal. Really brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Crown and Luna are going to have to be on complete bodyguard duty, really, and making sure their abilities don't miss a beat just to keep him alive. And at that point, the question is, even if he's alive, if he's still going to be chain knocked up by Riven and Alistar and then being stunned, you're still doing no damage. I mean, the Tigers are happy with that.
Yeah, also, the Riven pick, I'm not sure how this will work in the lane swap. Obviously, Riven does have some jungling capabilities, so probably can fend for herself decently well in a lane swap scenario. Samsung going to want the 2v2 here.
Uh-oh. Oh, there's a double knock-up with the flash and the gold guard onto Fury. There's the lantern, though, and the boomerang coming in. All right, so Fury had to start with the traps just to make sure they weren't chased down, but they did take out both summoners from Gorilla. No summoners used by Samsung.
None, but lantern first for Luna, which is horrendous in lane. That is a fast way to lose your lane, and you don't have any control.
You can secure those souls from behind your towel.
Behind your towel, huh?
Tower.
Did you just take a shower? Bathing Thresh.
You know, the souls and the...
Doesn't have a hook, he just has soap on a rope.
Well, hey, there's some good use for their lantern. The traps, too, yeah. So Fury is going to be stuck on that minigun mode. So he won't have that range to even farm if Prey and Gorilla decide to pressure.
Okay. Well, Smeb is going to take the Wolf Camp first. Gromp first for this Evelynn. Kuve heads directly into lane. And TP from Smeb. We'll see him coming up to that top side. We'll have to see how this Riven-Gnar matchup goes. Smeb has tried to play that Aurelia into the Gnar to limited success in the finals just a few weeks ago. And now he's going to try sort of a different top lane carry to achieve that same effect. Yesterday, Someday played the Yasuo in it and actually worked pretty well. So
was a pretty good carry. I mean, at MSI, KOO also picked that Aurelia and blindly, and then eventually into the Gnar, and had amazing success in that game. So I think a lot of it actually really depends more on the Gnar and your rage control. Because if they dive in and you turn to Mega Gnar, then the fight's completely in your favor because you've got the CC and the tankiness.
So Hojin's going to check and see if there's anybody at the blue buff. And it's finally happened, Chobra. Somebody is playing Evelynn while Eve is on the opposite team.
Oh, no.
For maximum confusion. And we nearly had in this game, before Hojin had to change his name from Lee, so close to having
the Lee
Eve on Lee and Lee on Eve. At which point we will just have to talk about KOO's jungler and Samsung's jungler, because there is no other way to refer to them at that stage.
Well, nice spell show from Prey. Gonna avoid all of the CC there.
Still, big CS deficit already for Prey in lane. Yes, there's a large wave pushing towards him, but they haven't been able to do much with the summoners down. The threat has been pretty big from Samsung, even though they did have to take traps and lantern first.
Yeah, they just had to wait one more level to make sure they had their tools. The blade threat from Luna. I mean, sure, Prey's avoiding it with the spell shield, but and Crown with a nice early blue.
Handing that one over as fast as possible. They just want to keep pushing this lane up and keep KOO contained. KOO actually going for Ignite instead of Ghost this game. That's a different adaptation. Ghost so useful on Twisted Fate.
Yeah, but I mean, the burst will, of course, help keep Fury out of the fight, even if it doesn't secure the kill right away.
Right, first gank of the game coming in. Gorilla still doesn't have flash to set this one up. I'm not sure how successful this is going to end up being.
Luna. Yeah, that's making sure he sees something's up so he gets the lantern down. Eve down the top lane. Kuve is stacking up his rage, but the minion wave's really pushed up against that tower. So looks like they'll just back out. I'm just hitting level 5. There's nice clear by the Mega Gnar.
Yeah, Hojin not setting up any early ganks, instead just focusing on the counter jungling here.
Yeah, I mean, getting some advantages out of it. He's definitely a little bit ahead, and he's been able to keep track of Eve somewhat in the early stages. Now, Gorilla's flash is going to be up soon, so Fury needs to watch out. They better have a really good timer on this, or else he's going to get caught completely unawares.
Early cooldown boots for KOO as well, so just trying to dodge around that lane as much as possible. Make sure that his wild cards are up so that he can counteract some of this pushing coming in from the Glitter Lance.
Well, it's not going to do him too much good for his first Destiny because he won't have that damage. Of course, he'll still have the stun, and like you mentioned earlier, Monty, the kill pressure is in the side lanes already.
He's got tier 2 boots, so this is also compensating for the fact that he doesn't have Ghost.
Oh, that's true.
So that is quite important as he continues to chase down target and maybe getting a second pick a card in, a second gold card.
Yeah, Crew now gonna go back maybe once more, but I mean, you see that with the blue buff, Crown just pushing up non-stop. Kuro and Eve actually here from across the wall, and can they get the knock up? They're gonna force the flash out of Kuro. He doesn't want to take any chances with that one.
Nothing he could do after he had just pulled the blue card to get some mana back to clear, but they can dive this perhaps. Kuve's
he's turning into Meganar real soon,
yeah,
though.
That's quite risky. Not a good timing from the Tigers. Getting stunned under that turret, not something that they will be able to survive. So Hojin shows himself, and they don't get an advantage. Kuve sticking around, and now they've changed their focus onto Crown, who's pushed up pretty far right here. They want to set it up with a Destiny on the mid lane. Here we go.
The Destiny and gold card coming in. Now Crown does have wild
Missed the
growth,
wild card.
also has the flash. Yeah, the wild card not going in. The ignite went onto Crown, but to no success. Crown still has his ignite, so he has a starter advantage when he returns to lane.
Yeah, these mid lane ganks aren't really working out for either TF player quite yet. There's just not enough damage on some of these junglers. No sign of a warrior enchantment this early in the game for Hojin.
Yeah, and also just no damage on the Twisted Fate too, and for a short lane, the earlier move speed not going to be as useful in chasing your opponent down.
Of course, the Lula, very safe pick as well. Hard to
Yeah.
take out even if you have that ignite, just because of the wild growth giving you enough extra stats that you're able to skip out of danger. So looks like Gorilla just trying to get some top wards down. This Riven hasn't done a whole lot yet. Gotten a decent CS lead, actually.
Yeah, there's a Brutalizer here for Smeb, and Gorilla's just going to charge through and knocks Kuve out from that hop. Kuve's trying to turn into Meganar soon, but there is the ignite. Kuve will survive as he turns into Meganar and denies that extra burst from Windslash thanks to the HP left mechanic. And he's actually going to get the stun onto Smeb, but Gorilla's still tanking the tower for him. And Smeb, if he got hit by that house, that was pretty big danger zone, and that's going to give Samsung a window to get this dragon. Well played by Kuve, avoiding
And look at this,
death.
rocket coming up, but it does get intercepted by Hojin in the middle of the map. Well played by Kuve, but also Gorilla airballed his pulverized there, so had the pulve hit, definitely Kuve would have died. So a bit of a misplay, and how much are they going to lose for this? Lost a dragon, are they going to lose prey? TP.
Teleport coming in for Smeb, so a flash from Eve. They don't want to deal with that. That Riven is pretty scary. Not at full health though, but Eve also pretty low, so they don't want to worry about that. Destiny was not up for Kuro. He was trying to make his way down. And he's still waiting to see what's going on. His lane is pushed up anyway, and he will just return to mid at that point. And Smeb now didn't get to use his teleport for lane, so it's going to take him some time. Hojin will have to go up and soak in that XP. Meanwhile, Rek'Sai going over to hand blue to Crown in the mid lane.
So TFL just coming back up right now. We'll see if they can make a play. Smeb, however, TP down. Means that they can't all just come down into the bottom side. Hojin wants this. He wants the delay in the barriers. Here we go.
Kuve got a little too greedy with the back timing there. He'll get stunned by the gold card. Smeb should be able to come in for this. Or actually, Kuro is just going to help pick that off with Hojin. Yeah, Kuve got a little too greedy with going back earlier rather than walking all the way back. They didn't have any eyes on Hojin recently. I think he also underestimated perhaps the time that Kuro could have come to join in with that Destiny.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Tigers, Smeb not getting even an assist right there, and the response from Samsung is just to bull rush this tower in the mid lane. Fantastic job. So a kill for a turret. Samsung finding a way to make that work for them. Prey and Gorilla only get this one down by about 1/3 HP.
Well, Gorilla looking to see who's showing up. They're not going to check that Eve is, though, so Gorilla will just back out peacefully. Hojin also in the bottom side of the map being spotted by Samsung members.
Still, getting that early tower down for Samsung limits the options even further for Twisted Fate for Ultimate. Puts him out of range.
Yeah.
If he's pushed back down to his tier 2.
Yeah, Crown just needs to make sure that Eve and himself put down enough wards so that he can continue pushing far into that tier 2. Otherwise, Even Smeb could maybe go for an early retreat. Gorilla could come in with Hojin, try to set up a kill onto that Lulu, or at least send her back and take that tier 1 away from Samsung also. Eve setting up for a gank in the bottom lane. Not going to happen though. They still check for wards and none there, but the bottom lane wants to go and get some new items anyway. So Eve will join them in a trip back home.
Yeah, well, just still moving up the mid lane right here. Not gonna get seen. Gets a ward down just so they have some more pressure. Ping's immediately going down. I think they saw the ward down on their ward, so they knew that Evelyn was there.
Really good eye from Samsung. So they know that there's a ward there. They know that Evelyn is somewhere nearby. Kuro showing up, trying to push back. Now we do have Luna and Eve showing up. They're going to catch Gorilla a little bit, but he'll just pulverize and walk away. Hojin hasn't really been able to find another angle yet. Of course, he did get that kill in the top lane after the second attempt. But first attempt coming from Gorilla. But it took a lot of effort to take down Kuve once. And it's giving them a little bit of a lead for Fury. Oh, not going to get the slow. The zap onto Prey. Luna and Eve are still waiting. The Eve just checking everything out with his Tremor Sense. He knows where everyone is. Kuro gonna go home.
Yeah, they really can't make too much of an aggressive play here because they have 2 pink wards. The Tigers have 2 pink wards on the side to make sure that Kuro can roam. Goes back and buys this Morello Damacon, so he could constantly threaten the bottom lane, which is preventing Fury and Luna from actually pushing down this tower.
Yeah, I mean, they have Jinx. They would be able to take it pretty quickly, even if there's an Alistar on the other side. But the Evelyn and the TF threat that you mentioned earlier, Monty, from the Picks and Bans, is really working in favor of the KOO Tigers. Now, Crown finally just joining up after having shoved out the mid lane. It gets clear, but it doesn't matter. They just want to take this turret at this point.
This is really dangerous.
And Kuro are coming in. Spell Shield used by Prey, but there's the Flash Pulverize, but the Wild Growth, and Fury actually being knocked down and closer to the Lantern. Wild Card hits 3 members as Kuro comes in, flashes away. Smeb gets a nice kill after the teleport. Kuve comes in, but no Meganar in sight just yet. Crown gets gold carded. He's going to get stunned, knocked up by the Broken Winds, and there's the headbutt flash forward by Hojin. A nice rocket by Fury. Picks up 1 kill, though, and he gets excited, gets the zap. Boomerang not going to connect. Kuve trying to go in. There's a knockabout to Gorilla. Samsung might be able to turn this back around. Can they charge through, though? The gold card comes in. Kuve's getting really low, but there's the Mega Gnar.
Whoa, right in the nick of time. So close. And a little bit of an over pursuit right there. The rocket not respecting it, getting that last bit of damage down so the Tigers couldn't clear up.
Oh, and Smeb's going to get knocked up. The house doesn't hit, but Eve will be able to pick up that kill, no problem.
Greedy, when you know that there's actually that Tremor Sense there to see you, and they could have an invade and go afterwards. So Smeb dying there, and that actually has the trade going over. As
Talk about greed, though. Eve's going to get caught right back.
This game's turning into a train wreck.
We're in the zone.
Well, you got 4 hits on a pink ward. Worth.
I'll take that out next time. And Fury will be chased down. I don't think he's going to get out of this. I mean, there are the traps. It is going to catch both members. So Gorilla not having his flash or his ultimate to get through that. Won't be able to set up a kill.
Fury going to have to back off right as this dragon spawns as well. So KOO has their eyes on this one as they push out the mid lane. They're probably going to get it. Kuve no TPs topside, so yeah, not really anything they're going to be able to do. First dragon of the game for the Tigers is the 2nd overall.
And so evening out on dragon stacks, of course. Samsung regaining the gold there to match up after taking a 2nd turret.
So Kuve going for the Gnar build with the Frozen Mallet. Let's take a look at this fight again. So Fury just missed positions. He gets headbutted immediately, but the Lantern actually managing to save him. Kuro playing with the brush vision, and there is Crown getting destroyed by Smeb.
Yeah, it looks like it was a Destiny Gate coming in with a gold card, catching him right outside power range. Yeah, and that replay, the Lantern, the predictive Lantern by Luna, knowing the headbutt was going to come through, was really good.
And he started walking back immediately, too, to just maximize that range. But still, that Jinx, it just goes to show what this composition is going to be able to do. And even though Samsung's comp scales so very well, the fact that the Tigers have the perfect weapons to deal with the Jinx even in the ultra late game, since they don't have any other damage threats. Means that if that Jinx ever dies, ever mispositions slightly, if KOO gets on top of Jinx, it's just going to be over the team fight.
I mean, that's what we saw when KOO used this similar composition in
Yeah,
game
but at
one.
least they had Rumble. They had something else to deal damage.
Fair enough.
Cinderhulk, Rek'Sai, Gnar, Lulu, not going to really help out here comparatively to the massive damage dealers that the Tigers are fielding.
Yeah, all of them will do lots of damage, except maybe Gorilla's Alistar. Even the jungler will be able to do quite a bit, as Evelynns often do, especially with the Warrior enchantment. Of course, Riven known for the damage, and TF also will have some decent burst. Samsung now trying to pressure the last outer turret left. No flash on Gorilla this time around. In fact, no flashes on the entire team of Tigers for now. No summoners for Fury either, though, so he needs to watch out. But some other skills available for Samsung to keep Fury alive. Fury needs to start chunking away at the tower, but they're going to get a hook onto Gorilla. They are not going to get the kill as Unbreakable Will comes out. The rocket got to be blocked by 3 members of the Tigers. They knew exactly what was coming down. And Samsung, looks like they're getting a little too eager to chase down that easy kill. They'll have to go back and pick up the turret. And they will be able to do that eventually.
Yeah,
this
minion wave coming up right there. Great siege from Samsung, zoning people out and getting the necessary poke down because Prey wasn't there to help out with the wave clear and to respond with some boomerang blades of his own. He was trying to push out the bottom side. And then as we take a look right here, Gorilla gets hit by just about everything, including a crit rocket. And then...
Look at them. Just all run towards the rocket. So good save on Gorilla. Of course, if Jinx did get excited there, who knows? Maybe Luna would have pursued a little harder too to chain that into more kills. So worst case, KOO Tigers will lose that tier 1.
Last outer turret goes down, but still gold lead for the Tigers.
Yes. It says quite a bit. I mean, they're 2 towers down. Of course, 2 kills up, but even then, that's going to speak to some of the CS advantage, especially in that top lane. Of course, Twisted Fate having some extra gold too. Eve showing up in lane. Luna looking for a possible jump onto the Tigers, but there's a Destiny Gate coming in right in the back line, and Kurl's going to get a gold card onto Crown, and Luna's going to go down. Fury is doing free damage, but no one left to protect the poor Jinx. Out front, Kuve also joining up a little late for Samsung. A completely outnumbered fight, actually, and going in favor of the Tigers.
Right, and absolutely no rage. This is the timing, too, when the KOO Tigers really want to fight, when they've got this unbreakable will before anyone really becomes too tanky on the opposite team, so they have a tank advantage, and they have a huge damage edge as well.
And
with the Ribbon and the Warrior enchant on the Evelynn, so that's a large gold lead. All of a sudden, the Tigers jumping up by an additional 2,000 gold as a result of that fight.
Yeah, and Samsung trying to just chase forward, maybe make something happen, but they won't have the mobility to catch up. Tigers wall back out, 1 minute and 20 until Dragon, and Samsung has the advantage to take vision for now.
Yeah, but it's another advantage for them. Their ults are going to be back up by that time. Fury's flash is not, so they will have an even easier chance of jumping on him as long as they set up vision properly around this Dragon Pit, particularly with the Evelynn. If they can control pink wards, then they should be able to get a flank in some direction or other right here.
You know, considering Eve died for the 4 hits onto that pink ward, it's staying alive for a really long time. I mean, Luna just walked by it again.
The value for that pink ward was insane, Chopra.
It got them a kill, and it's still getting vision 10 minutes in. There's a nice ward by Gorilla over the wall to make sure that Samsung wasn't hiding out there. Eventually, the pink ward will be taken out. I think maybe replaced, but for now, Gorilla just going in and clearing out Samsung's pink wards. 20 seconds until Dragon is up. No teleports, but everyone joining back in. Hojin possibly looking like he was going to go topside, but he will return.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to steal the blue buff at the very least, so that's not going to be picked up by KOO. All ultimates back up, except for the box. And with that, Tigers just pushing forward on the map.
Uh-oh, Fury. Yeah, Samsung's caught out real bad. They are going to just all have to group up together to back out. KOO just puts down that threat. It does push Samsung back into their own territory, which
they really needed that ult, though.
Yeah, it gave KOO Tigers a little bit of time to regroup, but they weren't actually able to make anything happen out of that. The other members of the Tigers were actually a little too far for KOO to comfortably jump in for that gold card without his flash. Doesn't have that Zonias either. Went for that Lich Bane.
It did give them position on the pit, though, so...
Exactly.
We'll see if it's worth it, because now they don't have so many flanking opportunities. You can see Hojin already looping back around.
Yeah, Hojin.
But they don't want to fight this in a choke point against Samsung, and they don't want to fight it head-on. They have to have some sort of easy access to the Jinx.
Well, Prey taking some poke damage. The Dragon being juggled back and forth. And Smeb and Hojin with the long flank all the way around.
No wards.
It's actually going a lot longer than they thought, though, as Samsung decides just to push down that mid lane. Now, the KOO Tigers should still be able to get this flank they wanted, but they find Smeb, so there's the Lantern out, and Luna being smoked by Hojin. Fury is protected by Crown, Luna, and Kube. There's a Mega Narc coming in. Smeb is actually caught out a little bit. There's a knockabout to Smeb, and there's the ultimate backwards from Kube. He's taking a lot of damage, but he will survive for now. The Mega Inferno Rocket not getting the kill just yet, but there we go. Fury gets excited as he picks up the kill. Prey joins in, but a 3-man, 4-man knockup as Gorilla goes down. Fury still bouncing back and forth, takes a lot of damage from the wild cards, but gets another one. Will escape with the Whimsy away from the Boomerang Blade. A 3-0 kill win for Samsung as they go for the Dragon.
And Samsung reacted to that immediately upon seeing the flank coming in for the wards, just turning onto it, pulling Fury back so we could get some autos onto Smeb, and then they were able to lock him down. Perfect Gnar timing on the transformation, so they just use everything to help take out Smeb right there. Smeb not able to do much at all in this team fight. KOO throwing some wild cards in from the back, but Prey has to walk all the way around. And then that huge knock-up from Eve who, unfortunately for them, decides to cluster up, and that's when the Jinx resets start coming in. So now Samsung back even in terms of gold.
Yeah, really well played. I mean, like you mentioned, Prey was also too far to add on any damage, and even if he wanted to, he was walking into a choke point, so it was pretty risky anyway.
And again, the Frozen Mallet from Kube. This is just to deal with the Riven. Same thing that you would do versus a Hecarim. Just go ahead, kite the Riven forever if you can, and continue to auto-attack so that the Riven can't split push for free for the rest of the game.
Luna going in really deep for a ward. He will succeed in that mission as Samsung looks to find possibly another fight, or at least one member caught away from his team. And Smeb's going to be spotted by the Termisons, I presume. Nope, actually. He's going to come downwards.
They're trying to threaten the Baron right now, but it's not going to work. There is a ward in the Baron pit. Meanwhile, Lich Bane, KOO is going to split push this tower.
Yeah, he'll succeed in getting that for sure, as no one is in a good position to go for that defense. Hojin shows up behind, and Samsung's just going to back out. More pings around the Baron pit. This time around, no wards left in the Baron pit. There's the Destiny, though. Course, you can use that, and TF still has free pushing power.
Right, and now they can get more wards in. So Samsung, this is a little bit of a fool's errand from them, trying to bait the Baron this early on, because the KOO Tigers literally don't have to respond unless they actually do the Baron.
Well, they are going to actually do it. Destiny is down now for KOO, so they have that advantage. TF's going to take a long time to regroup. It's going down decently quickly. There's the box by Luna. It actually denies Gorilla the entrance, and Hojin's going to get caught in the back. But Prey coming in with so much damage. There's the ultimate from Kube, keeping him at bay. A nice wild growth, keeping Gorilla, Smeb, and Prey knocked up. Fury gets one kill. He's got excited. He got the Whimsy. Oh, but the flash gold card from the side turns it around. Smeb picks up a kill, a Broken Winds knock up, and there's a gold card to pick up the kill onto Crown as Eve finally takes down Hojin.
Yeah, that's the danger right there. It's way too early in the game to be forcing Barons like that. Just go ahead and respond to the TF split push. Kube has his teleport up. He can absolutely go home. You're going to lose that one turret, but at least you don't have to get ganked by the Destiny and the Gate anymore, right? You lose a turret, but you're still just playing for the late game here against this Riven and this squishier composition. So they gave the Tigers what they needed. And they clean up as a result, stop the Baron, get 1.5 towers pretty much. It's a good play on the Gorilla to prevent him from getting the combo onto multiple members. Hojin has a good ultimate to start off the fight, and Bray gets a bunch of auto attacks down, but here's the big changer. Kuro finally makes it up. Flash gold card onto Fury, and Fury is just exploded by Smeb.
Fury got a little too eager to chase them down, because, I mean, if Kuro wasn't there, he would have been able to, especially with Mega Gnar right by his side. But unfortunately not happening, and Luna actually getting caught out a little bit, but not going to result in a fight, as Kuro didn't really have a good place to gate into when he's right in front of them.
Yeah, they're still trying to bait this Baron. It's still too early. They just don't have enough damage with just a Jinx right now to do it fast enough.
Yeah, they'll have to wait a little bit. Randuin's now in the works for KOO. And the KOO Tigers just doing the same thing again. I mean, Samsung seems too eager to make something happen around the Baron pit, so the KOO Tigers are just giving it to them and in fact corralling Samsung into that side of the map, giving Twisted Fate free reign of the bottom side whenever he wants.
Yeah, Smeb going for a pure damage build too.
The Baron has been started though. And KOO just being shown, and Gorilla walking towards them. Luna backing out a little bit. They need to make sure they don't get caught once again. Nice three-man ultimate coming in from Hojin, but there's a knockup onto Gorilla. Gorilla caught way out in front. The damage now finally coming in for the KOO Tigers, but Samsung has also taken quite a bit of a hit, so they're going to have to back out once again.
There's just nothing you can do right now about this Baron bait. Samsung overcommitting to this.
Hello, Luna.
Hi.
I think Luna wanted to go for the counter flank onto Smeb, which may have worked if all of Samsung followed through, but they were busy dodging that wind slash. So Smeb and Kuro just picking up a free kill onto the poor Thresh.
Uh-oh. Is it time to try the Baron again, Chobra? I don't think it is.
Well, well, this time trying to bait it.
There's a ward in the back of the pit that Smeb just placed, though. What are... No. No. No, Samsung. Can't do that right now.
How many Baron attempts does it take for Samsung to realize they're going to lose?
There's TP and Destiny up right now. There's no way you do that with your guys that haven't even recalled at this point to get some more HP.
They're really overestimating the power they have in Jinx right now when she only has 2 core items.
Yes, they are. Very much. I agree with you entirely. And it's costing them. Now they're 5k gold behind as a result of that extended series of Baron baits.
Yeah, and
When they could just hold steady. Just go defend your turrets. They also lost an insane amount of CS by doing that.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, look at TF, 245, 70 ahead of Crown, who's a Lulu. I mean, Lulu farms just fine. Wildcard's coming in from the side, though. And so Samsung knows they want to back out a little bit. Destiny up, but Fury is way in the back lines. KOO Tigers not in place to follow up. There's a 3-man ultimate start. There's a Prey just charging forward with On the Hunt. Crown has to use the Wild Growth to catch Kuro. Prey's going to get a kill. Kuro still alive with the Zonias. Hojin's going to pick up a kill onto Crown. Fury trying to do as much damage as he can from over the wall, but the Unbreakable will keep Gorilla alive. KOO trying to just get the stuns and protect Fury. Fury's out of mana, so he can't shoot his rockets anymore. Tries to get one more crit down, but it's not enough damage. And 3 members down for Samsung as the KOO Tigers walk towards the Dragon.
Yeah, they're going to be able to take this Dragon. Get their second of the game. Fury taking a gamble with the rocket.
Well, that could have turned things very interesting, but not going to happen. Now, you know, it's just interesting to me that Samsung correctly played against this exact composition to success, and they're just falling into the same trap. Like,
well, you know, sometimes it's a matter of practice, Chobra.
That's true.
Sometimes
it is true.
It's a matter of practice, and yeah, they have been caught out a little bit, and they're not being patient. They should know that they will have some sort of edge in the late game, especially when Fury gets a QSS. I mean, it's still going to be difficult for Fury to stay alive. KOO did pick a kill the Jinx composition, so... But yeah, they need to have a little bit more faith, I feel.
I'm pretty sure, though, the time's really running out. If Smeb gets a Guardian's Angel...
That's very true.
Yeah, the moment that Guardian's Angel comes out, Fury is just not staying alive. There's nothing you can do about it. He'll just keep chasing after you. He's got that Black Cleaver too for some health and armor shred on top of the cooldown, so he'll really be able to chase and provide continuous crowd control with those knockups on broken wings right there.
Yeah, and this is where KOO's composition can really take the lead with the massive gold advantage that they have. Their setup for picks around this Baron pit is going to be devastating, as Samsung will have to repeatedly face check just to make sure that there's no Baron going down because of the speed at which it could be done.
Yeah, I mean, Fury's doing a lot of damage. Samsung, like you said, if they were just a little more patient and allowed Fury to have the fight that he wanted, it'd be just fine. Now,
Samsung doesn't know how to do this. If there's a Rek'Sai in the enemy team, you have to run around in circles in the Baron pit.
Yeah, well, Hojin gets the perfect flank. Fury will be able to Lantern out, but Crown and Kuve are just going to get knocked back and forth. Gorilla with a double knockup with that Pulverize. A nice play to keep Fury alive, but here comes Smev, gets one kill. The cooldowns are coming, but he's going to back out as he takes a crit to the face.
Fury just taking the coward's way out right there. Bye, guys.
He's like, I'm out. I'm done. New team can't protect me.
No, they can protect him. They just can't protect themselves, unfortunately. There's only one Lantern. There's only one ticket out of that situation, and Fury's going to take it every time. So that'll be a Baron for the Tigers.
Wow, poor Crown, 0-6-6, just hasn't had the most spectacular game after some successful games on Twisted Fate previously. And Fury looking for a little bit sustained now, building towards the Vamp Scepter after the last Whisper. Prey on the other side, 5-0-8 as the enemy AD carry.
And both AD carries doing pretty well this game, but the picks are being made by the Tigers. Samsung invested so many resources into trying to bait that Baron, and it was a fruitless endeavor that allowed the Tigers to take a lot of objectives and a lot of farm on the map, and then kill them.
Yep. Prey also going for the Alacrity enchantment on his boots, just going for the flat move speed bonus rather than the Fur enchantment, allowing him to rejoin the fight as soon as he can, and also just dance around the outside even if he doesn't have the target to kite with.
Yeah, also just good for the sieging in this situation as well. KOO has basically everything a Twisted Fate could want right now. So the split push is going to come in, 1-3-1. Could be done by the Tigers, but it looks like they want to group to siege with Sivir and Twisted Fate together, considering there is no tier 2 in the bottom side.
Yeah, I mean, they have the Baron buff. This is going to be easy takedowns. And Destiny Engage is being used liberally at this point with that Baron buff. They just want to push as much as possible, put down all the pressure. They'll be able to take that next Dragon too. And Prey and Kuro in the bottom lane. Hojin's going to hang out here a little bit behind. He's going to get spotted by the tower, so he's putting down that threat. There's a teleport from Smev too. They really want to secure this inhibitor. Teleport going to be denied from Kuve, and a nice flash Pulverize. Lantern cannot be taken as the entire team of the Tigers stand on top of it. Fury down. Can KOO Tigers end the game right here? Smev jumps in, gets the stun, gets a kill onto Crown. He's still going with the shield as he Broken Wings out of the Nexus turrets, and Gorilla just tanking it for one last second as the KOO Tigers push for the win in Game 3, a 35-minute game. Smev with another successful ribbon under his belt, and the Tigers win 2-1.
Wow. Well, the Tigers pulled it out in the end. It was a little bit dicey there for a while. Samsung actually putting up more of a fight today than I thought they would, coming in at having that really cool composition in Game 1 and taking it to the limit in Game 2, really pushing the Tigers hard. Tigers deciding to pick an early game, mid-game focused composition in the third game, and they got the kills where it needed, and Samsung just not patient enough with their composition.
Yeah, definitely showing that they still have some more experience